There we go. Hello, welcome to the stream, everybody. What a day. Happy Easter to anybody who's celebrating. We were hanging out with family. I think we went over to my sister-in-law's house around like 12:30-ish, 12:45 today, and we have been there ever since. So at least 5 or 6 hours or so. Yeah, and while we were there, I realized, oh no, I'm not going to be able to make it to stream quite on time. Let me see if I can send a message in the Discord just to like let people know. Nope, my phone died. It was unreachable, so. But it's okay. I'm here now, and we're streaming, and it's still Sunday night, even though I'm an hour late. That's okay. I'm here. But yeah, we're going to be finishing up Roottrees Mania. And the Roottrees are dead. Let me get switched over to our desktop here. Get some of that good, slow, jazzy jams. Yeah, so let me hit continue on our game. Roottrees Mania, we got 20 locked in. I think we have to get to 30. We're doing them in groups of 5 now, and we have 2 sections of that left. Also, I don't remember this little thing on this chair, but it's cute. Alright. Yeah, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then whatever's in the top secret on below. So I'm hoping we'll be able to crush this, not slowly today. If we do finish it, and I may stream a little bit longer just because it's a holiday and I'm having fun, and even though I was late, I still want to stream for a while. And if we do finish this, I really want to play more Blueprints because I'm obsessed with that game. I think it's amazing and I'm excited for it. So let's get into it. Let's see, let me make sure it's good over there. All right. So last time, what we were really looking at was possible infidelity number 1. So Elias Roottree and Bess Williams, who was his secretary, or she was an author, and then she became a secretary afterwards again. At some point, she wrote this like propaganda book for Elias Roottree. She ended up having a son, Frank Williams. He worked in construction. Now we're kind of trying to go from there and figure out what's going on from his family side. So if there's something about this picture that's like really weird to me. It's very attention grabbing. Where it's like, I don't know. Every time I see it in the corner, I'm like, who's that? All right, where were we? Did I leave myself some notes? Aha, here we go. Frank Wildcat Williams, start here next stream. Thank you, me. Thank you, past Paris. All right, Frank Wildcat Williams. So this is Bess Williams' son, possibly from her infidelity with Elias Roottree. So Frank Wildcat Williams is listed on a few different military history websites. He was awarded a Navy Cross Medal in World War II, and the story goes that even after being struck in the arm with a bullet, he managed to carry a fellow soldier through enemy territory on his shoulders for over 2 miles. He died in 1996-74 in a retirement community in Sweetwater, Florida. An obituary on the website of a local news channel that was written by his surviving family also sheds light on some of his personal life. He grew up an orphan because his family died in a hurricane when he was very young. Is that what happened to his mom? She died in a hurricane? I thought she died. Hello, Fair! Welcome to the stream! I thought his mom died somehow else. I don't remember. He could barely remember his mother and had no memory of his father. I was wondering where you had me work. It is Easter. It is Easter. I was hanging out with my family. We were running late, and when I realized it, my phone had died. So I couldn't even like post a message on Discord to let everybody know I was running late. But yes, it is Easter, but I am here. We were playing games, and it was running late with the family, and I think our baby did not even have like a nap today. It's been a really crazy busy day. And so I'm very, very glad that I'm able to just like sit down, listen to some smooth jazz, and play some video games. This is very nice. All right, let's see. After the war, he ran a construction company and mainly hired World War II vets, did a lot of jobs in and around Greater Miami. Born Joker and shining a light to those veterans who needed it most. An anecdote mentions that he used to insist he married his wife Ophelia as a matter of courtesy and convenience. she wouldn't have to change her last name. So she's also Ophelia birth name Williams. Alright. Sweet. Wait, first name? Her first name's Ophelia. Oh, okay. We have locked it. Alright, cool. Alright. So then they got married. They had a kiddo. Their kiddo had a kiddo with John Doe. So their kiddo is probably a girl who we can find at least 2 photos of. They split up, and then Frank took over guardianship of his grandkids. Let's see. A photo is attached of Frank in his youth juggling hammers in front of one of his construction sites, as he was often known to do. According to the article, he is survived by Ophelia, as well as his daughters, Barb and Sharon Williams. So one of these is Barb, one of these is Sharon, although one of them is actually his grandkid. Okay, so let's see. Previously on The Roottrees Are Dead. Okay, get out of here. Where's he juggling hammers? This one? Okay, that's the photo that we put in of him. Can't really see anybody else's face. Don't really see anything else going on there. Frank Wildcat Williams. Do we know, like, what his company was? Was it Wildcat Construction? Wildcat Construction is listed in some historical records as having worked on many buildings in the Miami, Florida area. Seems to have ceased operations in the 1960s. Okay. Bless you to my husband. I can hear him sneezing from the other room. Supposed to go to Easter church service this morning with my mom and sister. Stomach decided to act up right before we left, so yeah. We tried to go to a new church this morning. We tried to go to the same church that my sister-in-law and her husband go to, except they have 2 different campuses. Like, their church has 2 locations, and we went to the wrong one. And the one we went to is their main campus, and it was one of those, like, it's not like a mega church, but it's a large church. We, like, dropped the kiddo off for childcare, like, while we were there. He was screaming. We, like, went to go into the auditorium, and I got, like, freaking blasted with worship music, and I was just like, this is all overwhelming. So I was expecting, my sister-in-law and her husband were doing childcare, because they had attended the earlier morning service, and they were doing childcare for the later service. And I was expecting to just drop him off with his aunt and uncle, except we were at the wrong location. And so it was just like a nightmare this morning. And this whole day has just been in that vein of just like, nothing is going right today, and I'm exhausted. And so I'm gonna, sit here. We're gonna solve some mysteries. I'm gonna eat some Peeps and chocolate bunny rabbit while I'm here. So, hi, video. Hi, Parents gonna lurk again today. I play this eventually, I swear, but I hope Roottrees is going well. Thank you. Happy Easter if you celebrate, and if you don't, happy Sunday. This game's super fun. Again, I don't recommend any spoilers because I think you absolutely should play it for yourself. Highly recommend it. And we're kind of at the end of the end. So, we might finish this in the next, 2 hours or so. I don't know. We'll see. Bye! Bye! Alright, I'm trying to see if there's anything else to search here. Sweetwater Retirement Community? Do we think that's a thing? No. Okay, that was worth a shot. Born Joker. I wonder if he did Alright, let's go ahead and just search his daughters Barb and Sharon Williams. Do we think it's a Barb or a Barbara? Hey, Barb. Barbara. I'm just gonna put Barbara in there. Alright, let's try Barb, and then we'll try Barbara. Oh. Barb Williams is a motivational speaker, and she has a website that explains the services she offers. Her company's address is listed as in Coconut Grove, Florida. We got a flyer. Let's check it out. Hey! Overcoming adversity with Barb Williams. Her story will surprise you, uplift you, then energize you. Oh, do we think she's a preacher? Or she's a motivational speaker? It looks like she's preaching like at a church. But it also could be like a school or somewhere else with like a university or somewhere with fancy stained windows. A lesson that anyone can take something away from. Oh, and these are also maybe news things. Kikiwa Falls Gazette. Maybe we could search that. Vic Elmsworth? Vic? That was Val Lincoln. Okay, I thought Vic was... Yeah. An intimate evening with a truly wonderful message. Isabel Crosby, Superintendent, Benton County. Book Barb for corporate retreats, church events, or even school assemblies. She can customize her message for any audience. Interesting. Barb Williams advertises her career as a motivational speaker online. This flyer includes 3 different testimonials from Greta Jones, Vic Elmsworth, and Isabel Crosby. Yeah, and they mention, like, where they're from. Let's search WQTV 12. The Jazz Mission. Are they going a little too hard? I can turn it down. Oh yeah, it looks like maybe they're going harder than I am, or just as. Let's snick it down just a little bit. Greta Jones is, according to a flyer in your possession, the morning news anchor for a channel called WQTV 12. Unfortunately, WQTV 12 has no online presence whatsoever. You do find it listed on a giant list of television call signs next to the city Springfield under the heading Effingham County. You may need to do a deeper dive on a specific city and state to see if any locals have discussed the news in that area. So what did we say it was? TV... hang on. Let me go back. TV Coconut Grove. Coconut Grove News. Coconut Grove TV. Coconut Grove Media. Okay. Coconut Grove, Florida. No. Coconut Grove. Okay. That's fine. It doesn't exist. Okay. WQ12. Next is City Springfield under the heading Effingham County. You may need to do a deeper dive on a specific city and state to see if any locals have discussed the news in that area. Coconut Grove, Florida News. Ah! Didn't mean to make that caps, but... TV. Florida, I don't know. They want me to do something there, but I don't quite know what. Next to the city Springfield, Effingham County. Effingham County is named 2 different counties in the United States. One is in Georgia, the other is in Illinois. You'll probably need to append a state name to your search to find better results. Fine, we can do them both. Georgia. There is a Springfield in Effingham County, Georgia. Oh. Illinois. Springfield is the capital of Illinois, but after perusing some of the results, you find that it is not located in Effingham County. Okay, so it's Effingham County, Georgia. Why does that matter? I don't know. Effingham County, Florida. You know what I mean? Like, Effingham County, Georgia. Greta Jones. Too common of a name. That's fine. Springfield. I'm not sure what it's trying to get me to do here. Springfield, Effingham. Okay. Coconut Grove? Oh, goodness gracious. can't tell if, like, Coconut Grove just doesn't exist. Company's address is listed as in Coconut Grove, Florida. Alright, let's try something else. Let's try the Kikkiwa Falls Gazette. There is no Kikkiwa Falls anywhere in the world that you could... Are these all fake? These are all fake. Is there no Coconut Grove, Florida? I can't find WQTV12 or whatever, or I can't find anything more local. Kikkiwa Falls doesn't close. Isn't a thing. There is no Kikkiwa Falls anywhere in the world that you can find. The closest thing to a Kikkiwa appears to be in New Zealand. Instead, a man named Chris Elmsworth has invented a small town newspaper as a conceptual art piece. The Kikkiwa Falls Gazette is a series of online articles about small restaurants, shows, and other tourist attractions all across the United States. This is presented as a monthly newspaper of small town America. What makes the Kikkiwa Falls Gazette a bit strange is that amongst the articles detailing real locations are occasional stories that present outlandish, inflammatory concepts in extremely mundane ways. For example, on the homepage right now is an article entitled Mermaids Strike Back Against Lobster Farms that, using very dry language, details the ideas that mermaids in Maine have begun to unionize in support of better benefits. There are no punchlines, and the articles are not marked any differently from the rest. Unfortunately, the current issue of the paper is presented, or each current issue of the paper is presented on the homepage. There are no archives of older issues. Who is Chris Elmsworth? Okay. What is small town America? Okay. Interesting. If I can search. Oh, Pikuti? Doesn't Pikuti do crazy things? This is weird. Yeah, maybe just Springfield, Georgia? Okay, when you refine your search to television in and around Springfield, Georgia, you come across a website that lists different channels available there. This seems to only feature broadcasts with female news anchors. The person who runs the website has ranked each using 3 categories, none are relevant to journalism. One of the entries is Channel 12, but the news anchor is listed as Greta Flores, not Greta Jones. Oh, Greta Flores is a news anchor who apparently used to go by Greta Jones before her divorce. Compared to the ordeal you've gone through to simply figure out her current name, it's way easier than you expect to find that she has a website of her accomplishments. She was apparently the MC for an all-female speaking tour in 1977. The tour was called Storytellers of Sisterhood, the Mothers and Daughters of Earth. You do a search for it, and it seems some of the stories were compiled into a book. Okay. A book called 25 Stories of Sisterhood by Isla Hale. I always get this wrong. Isla Hale. Here we go. Anthology of stories told on a few different Storytellers of Sisterhood tours. It contains direct transcripts, and by the way, thank you, Fairy Orb, for suggesting just Springfield, Georgia. It contains direct transcripts of the most well-received stories told on stage. Isla Hale is the editor, not the sole author. One of the stories, by Barb Williams, has been added to your evidence. Okay. What was the difference between Sherry, the brat, and Sharon, the beauty? Is it nature, nurture, a better education, different opportunities? Well, the answer is nothing. There was no difference, because my sister and my daughter are the same girl. Sherry versus Sharon? What? Okay. I met a boy at a county fair. Unlike us, he lived in a nice part of town. He went to a good school. And to a teenage girl, it felt like a fairy tale. But there were boxes all over his house. He was moving in 3 days. Those 3 days were heaven to me. The final night, he surprised me. He told me he could actually see me again soon. He planned to return to visit his grandparents. I thought I was giving him a reason to keep his promise. I never saw him again, and when I finally got desperate enough to ask around, a friend of a friend told me he hadn't even given me his real last name. Barb Williams had the transcript of a story she told and stayed published in a book. The first part of her story focuses on two 16-year-old girls. My sister Sherry was a brat. Always sulking, often disobedient, never on time. She borrowed things without asking and even ran away from home only to sneak back the next day like nothing had changed. My daughter Sharon, on the other hand, was a beautiful person. She had excellent marks in school, was intensely artistic and creative, and even volunteered at an animal shelter. She continues to tell the stories of the two girls until she shifts the narrative. What was the difference between Sherry the brat and Sharon the beauty? Is it nature, nurture, better education, different opportunities? The answer is nothing. There was no difference because my sister and my daughter are the same girl. Barb reveals that her daughter was the result of an unexpected pregnancy when she was only 15. Okay, so yeah, he hadn't even given me his real last name. Barb also talks about when she found out she was pregnant. I was convinced my life was over, but my parents, they took charge. I had to live at home and work a part-time job, but they removed the burden of motherhood. I managed to scrape out a degree in English, and as far as my daughter was concerned, I was her much older sister. Barb uses the story to come to a conclusion. When I was younger, I thought my sister was the brat, and I wasn't wrong, but she ran away from home to work at that animal shelter. She borrowed my clothes for presentations at school, and her creativity allowed her to open up Sherry's hair. It took me far too long to realize that the beauty was always there too. In fact, the brat and the beauty exist in all of us. It was my inner brat that kept me blind to the truth, and I'd like to say it's the beauty in me that's finally able to see what I was missing. I implore you to call upon the beauties in yourselves whenever the brat takes hold or tries to take hold. Interesting. There is a Sherry's hair. Now, what was... Okay, hang on. Pause on Sherry's hair for a hot second. Just Sharon Williams. So, and we think Barb is Barbara. Barb Williams. Now, her thing is a, what, motivational speaker? Possibly? Actor, advertising, architect, artist, author. Baby cashier, CEO, chef, comedian. Construction, dancer, director, doctor, driver, farmer, firefighter, hairdresser, housewife, interior design, lawyer, manufacturing, mechanic, media mogul? No. Model, musician, news anchor, nurse, pilot, politics, preacher, public speaker. There it is. Alright, we got a picture of her. Let's get her in there. And then this is going to be Sharon Williams. Alright. And then hairdresser? We'll see. Sherry's hair. The owner of the business is listed as Sherry Yastremski. Sherry has a large van and on weekends can bring the style of Brittany, Christina, or even the Rachel to your door. The About Sherry section is very, very long and presented as one paragraph with multiple run-on sentences and no pictures. You get the sense that if she were to do your hair, she'd be doing a lot of talking. It mentions that her husband, Pete, was her late husband's college roommate. Her husband, Pete, is her late husband's. This might be first husband. This might be second husband. Pete, possibly? I mean, she may not have had any kids with her first husband, but then her first husband would still be, like, listed, even if they didn't have any kids. John Doe. That's so sad. All right. Pete was her late husband's college roommate. She and he had never spent any significant time together until she became a widow, and they built a charity together. They left the charity behind because it was growing beyond their ability to run it. She also brags about her kids, Tony, Mark, and Cricket. Her oldest, Tony, who probably has a different last name, Tony, but it's probably Anthony, seems to get the short end of the stick. His 2 listed accomplishments are that he's the oldest and he's a straight-A student. Mark, on the other hand, has multiple baseball accomplishments listed. Apparently, his Little League team is nationally recognized. Cricket York is near the end and has an entire section dedicated to her. She's an actress. Wait a second here. Her oldest is Tony. Cricket is an actress on a local television show. And Mark is in Little League? Okay. So, Cricket. We still don't know what her last name is. She was an actor? She was a actress on a local television show called whatever. And the reason Sherry relocated from Miami to Orlando. Sherry, in addition to being hireable to come do your due, is a stylist for the show. The passage also mentions that her agent recommended they change her last name to York since it was easier to pronounce. The rest of the section describes how she got the part, but it seems unimportant to your search. Oh, Cricket York instead of Cricket possibly Yastrzemski. Now, she has 3 kids, and this one is Mark. Then she's probably married to Pete Yastrzemski. And this is probably Mark Yastrzemski. Although, wait, that's not quite right, though. Because Mark isn't the youngest. I don't think. Because Cricket York, she changed her last name to York probably because it's easier to pronounce than Yastrzemski. Mark has multiple baseball accomplishments. His Little League team. Mark is not young enough to be playing Little League. Mark is like a coach or something of a Little League team. So this one, and yes, I will look them up here in a hot minute. This isn't Cricket, this is Mark. I interpreted that incorrectly. And yeah, I'll definitely look up like all the shows and stuff like that. Although first I'm going to start with Pete. Yastrzemski. Okay, nothing relevant there. I'm going to start with her current husband, Peter. Would he be in like the Miami Mercury? I don't know where else he would be. Silver Screen Magazine. Which one was Silver Screen? Likely to have defunct tabloid about actors and actresses. I don't know why he would be in there. Teen Blast. Okay. 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 And they had some kind of charity. I feel like we'll need to figure out what's up with the charity stuff. Alright. Let's try Cricket York. I think she's our best jumping off point. Library Library is a children's show filmed in a studio in Orlando, Florida. It's been on the air since 1991. In the show, multiple adults and children interact with different animal puppets in a small town called Library, whatever. Unlike some other popular shows involving non-human performers, this one isn't funded by the public. Instead, it's paid for by donations from businesses related to education. This includes textbook manufacturers like Corithmetic, tutoring companies such as EDUC82U, Educate 82, whatever, and a few well-known publishers of picture books. From what you can find, it's syndicated in a few markets across the southern United States and in New Hampshire for some reason. Oh, is that important? Like most other children's entertainment, many of those that grew up with it tend to have fond memories. That works in your favor because the show has been documented by a few fan sites. There's even a Library web ring, though it only has 3 entries. You click through the sites in the ring and find that Cricket York joined the cast in 1997 at the age of 5 and is still listed. So she's a kid. She's an actress. I assumed that because they said she was an actress on a TV show, I assumed she was older. Maybe the other guy is still in Little League because she's 7. A picture of Cricket from one of her first episodes has been added to your evidence. Oh, this game is like straight playing with my head. Ads? I don't have anything about ads. This one must be about wearing glasses or something. She's a cutie. This is a promotional shot of Cricket York in the puppet Poof Tail from 1997 when she was on a show called Library Library. According to the website you found it on, the theme of this episode tackled why some people needed glasses. Okay, she's adorable. She's an actor, I guess. Or she's a student. You know what I mean? Like, or she's a student. Mark is not an actor. Mark is possibly also a student, but we'll see. Interesting, okay. So, Library. I assume this will take me to the same, yeah, okay. Let's check out some of these things. Math Textbook Publishing Company, they ran the news last year when a primetime news program did a full comparison of their 4th edition textbooks and their 5th edition textbooks. Schools are complaining that the 2 editions seem remarkably similar, yet Corithmetic was charging almost double for the newer edition than they had for the previous one. The news program announced that between the 2 books there were only 16 total changes. The most notable was that the cover was changed from a picture of a water droplet creating concentric rings on a lake to a close-up of a feather. The other 15 were all instances of changing 4th to 5th. Oh no. This even led to a geometry problem where the book asked students to calculate the 5th side of a rectangle. Nobody associated with this seems to be related to your search. Ooh, get them though. Let's see what this is. A tutoring company. EDUC82U is a tutoring service. They have a deal with Library Library and feature some of the actors from the show in pictures on their website. According to the site, they actually provide tutoring for all the actors and actresses on the show to accommodate their shooting schedules. Included is Cricket York, who's seen in a photo labeled Cricket and her brothers, ready to learn from one of our talented tutors. You don't find much else about EDUC82U, except that there's gotta be, oh, educate to you. I get it. I got there. Educate to you. Alright, you don't find much else about Educate to You, except that there seems to be a small subsection of Library Library fans who are deeply unsettled by the company's logo, which would appear right after the credits on each episode. One writes, I was terrified of the little girl at the Educate to You logo. She looked like some kind of demon doll, and I'd race to the TV every day to switch the dial before her creepy laugh came on. Oh no. Oh no. That's kind of scary. Alright, Educate to You perfect students. That's the kid with all the A's. This is the kid who loves baseball. This is the little girl. Alright. So, yeah, are they all like K through 2 students? They're cuties. We gotta figure out what her husband's name was, though. I wonder if, like, the charity was named after him. I kind of wonder, like, how did he die, maybe? I don't know. Okay. Let's go back to Sherry's hair for a second. Alright, so we kind of figured out some stuff about Cricket York and this. So, what do I have wrong here? Because I have her. Is she... I don't know if she's an actor or if they consider her like a full-time student. Cricket Yastrzemski. I wonder if her first name really is Cricket. Because I also have Elias Roottree, who is the first president. I have Bess Williams, who is theoretically the secretary. Frank Williams in construction. And I have Barbara Williams, who is a public speaker. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people fully filled out, and something is wrong. Was she an author? Alright. Cool. We also got Ophelia Williams, Peter Yastrzemski. Booyah! Maybe the Miami Mercury? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's where I was hoping we could find a picture of her. But the Miami Mercury was discontinued in 1949. And she is much more recent. Home. Actually, I'm gonna look up Liberty Library. Real quick. Starlit, maybe? Teen Blast? It's mostly older stuff. Sherry's hair in Business Watch. Or even the Orlando, Florida news. You know what I mean? Because now Sherry's hair she followed her daughter to Orlando. Yeah, Sherry's hair listed in Orlando. Nothing relevant to my search? Truly? Oh, well, okay. I wonder if she's in any periodicals. What if they went to college? What is the Herald? Mid-Eastern University? This might be weird. Is that in New Hampshire? I don't remember. Midway between Maine and Miami. I thought maybe like somebody might be in there, you know? Okay, did I try this? All right. Can't imagine she'd be in Chef's signature, but pause on this for a second because I do want to investigate this last thing. Isabel Crosby, superintendent of Benton County. That means is that superintendent of like the school? No information about anyone that feels like they could be related to your search. Well, you never know. Let's be like. Benton County. And Benton County is Benton County, Georgia. Benton County, Florida. Benton County. Oh, okay. And Isabel Crosby, according to a flyer on Barb Williams' website, is superintendent of Benton County. There's a Benton County in 9 different U.S. states in the U.S. There hasn't been a Benton County in Florida since 1850, so you're not sure which one Isabel Crosby comes from. Searching for Isabel Crosby doesn't lead to anything that seems to fit what you're looking for. So is it trying to tell me, like, maybe this isn't what you should be focusing on? Maybe I should try Vic Elmsworth. Vic Elmsworth, according to his own personal page, is apparently one of 3 brothers. All 3 of them are contributors to a newspaper called the Keekable Falls Gazette, and he tends to focus more on the southeastern United States. All the articles he's written are archived on his site, including the long-form version of the review for the Barb Williams motivational show from 1997. Oh my gosh, do you think Vic Elmsworth is the guy? Do you think that's the man? According to Victor, he had seen Barb talk more than once. On this particular occasion, Barb's talk was at a very large church, and it was clear she was an expert at matching the presentation of her concepts for any particular crowd because she received a standing ovation. Barb started with a story about loss, specifically the loss of a bicyclist who'd been hit by a car. She spoke about the death of any person as a darkness in their loved ones, a cold, empty void that begins to creep into a space where there once was light. Because the light could never return exactly how it once was, she says the only option is to nurture new sources of light to help fight back the darkness. Her conclusion was that finding the hidden meanings in tragedy is the most important thing we can do. She used multiple biblical comparisons and finished by looping back around to her initial story and how she personally began to come around to this ideology. The biker who died was her son-in-law. Yeah, the biker who died was her son-in-law, meaning that this was Sherry's first husband. And the Lanes Across America charity was created to fill the newfound darkness her daughter experienced. The charity, it was the light that began to fill the void, and she was doing everything she could to help nurture it. Lanes Across America, or the LAA, is a charity focused on adding bike lanes to major cities. The pages and pages of news articles that mention Lanes Across America have a similar summary in them. LAA, formerly LAM, Lanes Across Miami maybe, was founded in 1987 after the death of Drew Smith. Drew was biking home from work when he was hit by a car. Each year since, Lanes Across America has grown, and now they have offices in over 12 major metropolitan areas, including Miami, where the charity began. Website for the charity has a picture of Drew. The photo has been added to your evidence. Do we think he's Drew? Do we think he's Andrew? Maybe? Aww. Wish we could see, like, the full picture. But then it would give me a picture of Sherry, which apparently got a search harder for. Partial wedding photo from the website for a charity called Lanes Across America. The rest of the wedding party is cropped out. Charity is founded after the death of Drew Smith, who is featured in the photo. So we're gonna guess maybe Smith. This is Andrew. Smith. This is him. Sharon Williams is a hairdresser, and we still don't have her picture. I definitely didn't get her picture somewhere. That's lame. There's a whole website, but no pictures. Pictures of her kids, but no pictures otherwise. It's frustrating. Alright. One of 3 brothers. Peter Yastrzemski. There must be like a wedding photo of the 2 of them. What would I find? Where would I find it? I wonder if we could search Lanes Across America in like business something. Business whatever magazine. feel like I need like a modern Miami newspaper, you know what I mean? Miami Herald, Miami News, Miami newspaper, Miami TV, Miami, Florida, Orlando. All right. Sherry's hair. Also, I have these Peeps. They are cookies and cream Peeps. Hello, little Peep. How? Pete was her late husband's college roommate. I was thinking maybe somebody would have something on his death. What's this one? Weekly magazine focused on current events. It's a supermarket tabloid. Game screen, thank you, thank you. It's focused on my Peeps. Alright, I searched Drew Smith in all the magazines and didn't find anything. So this has 3 points of intuition. I feel like Isabel Crosby has to be like something, right? Otherwise, why would they put it in there? If his little league team is nationally recognized, that's true. I don't think I've searched either of the kiddos. Mark Smith, or maybe just like Miami Little League, or Orlando Little League, Florida Little League. Problem is, Mark Smith is like Orlando baseball. What did it say? Mark, on the other hand, has multiple baseball accomplishments listed. Apparently, his Little League team is nationally recognized. Little League baseball. how would we look that up, though? Okay, so we figured out who her husband Pete is. Her late husband's college roommate, we figured that out now. She and he never spent any significant time together until she became a widow and they built a charity together, which is Lanes Across America. They left the charity behind because it was growing beyond their ability to run it. It's now in like 12 major metropolitan areas. She's got her kids, Tony, Mark, and Cricket. I mean, Tony has some accomplishments, though. Oh, do you think he goes by, like, Mark Yastrzemski now? Don't see anything. It's like a baseball magazine. Nothing here about Mark Yastrzemski. His two listed accomplishments are that he's the oldest and he's a straight A student. Mark, on the other hand, has multiple baseball accomplishments listed. Apparently his Little League team is nationally recognized. Oh, jeez. I just shook like my whole desk when I was trying to get like one leg up underneath me in my chair. Sherry relocated from Miami to Orlando and she's currently in Orlando. You don't think he goes by Mark York, do we? Because what would he even be in? The resulting paper, the Miami Mercury Sunday, went out of business. Okay. Just trying to see if there was like a newer newspaper. Yeah, it feels like there's got to be like a wedding photo of these two or something. Oh, and we have another picture of her. Sharon Williams is who? Oh, I don't think we've searched just Sharon Williams. Or Sherry Williams. We don't have another picture of Barb either. I feel like they wouldn't say it's nationally recognized if we couldn't do something with that info, but also, like, I don't know how to... Yeah, that's what I'm, like, struggling with, is just, like, I searched, like, Orlando Little League, I searched, like, Little League, I searched Miami Little League, like, Orlando Baseball. Do they want Orlando, Florida Baseball, you know? I was like, does Florida have a team? The Florida Marlins? Not their, not their baseball team? The Miami something. Frustrated that I only have half this picture. Lanes Across America. Pretty sure I already searched this, but now I'm feeling, I don't know. I'm surprised there's nothing about it in Business Watch magazine. Or that I couldn't find Drew Smith. Did I just try searching Drew Smith? That's just this. Formerly LAM. News Across Miami. There we go. There's a picture of the boys holding clues like a baseball uniform. The kid's just wearing a shirt with a baseball on it. Searching for Lands Across Miami does narrow down the pages and pages of articles you found earlier to only those with a more in-depth history about the charity. You find some additional information. LAM was formed in 1987 and became LAA in 1994. It was founded by Sharon Smith after the death of her husband. Sharon and some other board members stepped down in 92 and the current leadership took over. One of the oldest articles has a full uncropped version of the same wedding photo from the LAA website. It seems that after Sharon left LAM, they began to crop her and the rest of her wedding party out of the photo to focus solely on Drew, who is the face of the charity. Wow. This woman founded the charity and they cut her out of the picture with her husband. That feels awful. I would feel so awful if that was like my former husband. Can you imagine? And I'll bet that's his bestie. And I'll bet that's her sister mom. I'll bet that's the newest husband. Oh my goodness. That's probably Peter. Hang on, let me grab this. It's probably Barb. Sharon. Alright. Cool. Yeah, okay. So we found their picture. Alright, so I feel like pretty confident about those three. Now what we have to do is go back here and figure out more about Susan Ford. Now she's the principal of that school for the deaf. And we gotta figure out who her kids are. We didn't figure all this out. Oh no. There we go. Susan Ford. It was the Granford School of the Deaf. Crocodile Clementine. Forgot all about that. Did I scroll past it? Let me have Grandorf School for the Deaf. There it is. Okay. Formerly Grandorf Dove. Let me search that. Okay. 2 people left, and then whatever's in the envelope. Alright. Grandorf School for the Deaf, formerly Grandorf Dove, is located about an hour from where the Roottrees offices used to be in Butler County. Serves much of that part of Pennsylvania and nearby Ohio. According to their website, it's formerly named Grandorf Dove, because 1920. Oh, right. This Dove was the Danish word for deaf. And Grandor was the last name of the founder. Founder had issues with government translators, leading to an odd transcription issue. In 1990, it was renamed to better represent the school's purpose and to correct the embarrassing lack of effort and awareness demonstrated by a government official in those early days. So just Grandorf School for the Deaf now. Staff is listed on the website. You scan through all the biographies, find that the principal, Miss Ford, is fluent in 5 languages, including American Sign Language. She has been working at the school for over 15 years. Her bio also mentions she is not deaf herself, but rather learned sign language to communicate with the deaf. It mentions she was responsible for securing funding for the Hudson Wing, which we realize is named after probably Guy Hudson, because we know that in the company records somewhere there's like a huge expense of like $250,000 somewhere for the Grandorf Dove donation. Oh, here was probably this one. Yeah, Grandorf Dove donation. 250,000. Okay. So let me see if I can search the periodicals for Grandorf Dove. School for the Deaf near Butler regularly listed in articles with local schools. Butler County Times archives include what seemed like an endless list of snow cancellations, extracurricular activities, and weekend events. Began over 70 years ago and stretched until last mentioned in 1990. Amongst the avalanche of useless information, you almost miraculously discover one useful article. Grandorf Dove was at the center of a crime article from 1982. It seems that someone defaced the schools and vehicles outside of the brand new Hudson wing of the school. There were multiple broken windows, and one of the teacher's cars was painted with profanities and accusations of infidelity. Yeah, it's the only spending Guy did that was worth something. It's so true. A few weeks later, as a follow-up article provides more details, there was one arrest, Thomas Hughes, who was coincidentally a former student at the school. Apparently, the destruction came weeks after he married the school's newest teacher, Mrs. Hughes. She was not a teacher when he went. He graduated a few years earlier. So maybe she learned American Sign Language to talk to Thomas, and then she, Susan Ford, and Thomas got married? According to the reporter's investigation into the police reports, trials, and restraining orders, Mr. Hughes was convinced that he was not the father of Mrs. Hughes' current pregnancy. He was released on bail, and the school has agreed not to press criminal charges after an agreement was made to pay for the damages and for the couple to begin divorce proceedings. Seems that Thomas Hughes, Mrs. Hughes, and the Hudson wing have all avoided further appearances in the Butler County Times. Thomas Hughes. Alright. They split up, so there's possibly an infidelity. Possibly they had 2 kids? I don't know. So is she now Susan Hughes? And maybe she's listed as Susan Ford now, just because she was pregnant, or not pregnant, divorced. Why is it pregnant? I love this game. It's so good. All right, let's see if we can find some more stuff maybe on Thomas Hughes. Nothing there. Wonder if he's anywhere else in the periodicals. So we basically have to try and figure out what their kids' names are. I can't imagine that he's in any of these, but I searched the okay. So he's not in any of the other. What? Ridiculous! I know he's not in any of the things. Yeah, maybe Susan Hughes is. That's true. Oh, not in the Butler County Times. All right, because maybe that's like all the articles about him, because it says Thomas Hughes, Mrs. Hughes, and the Hudson Wings have all avoided further appearances in the Butler County Times. And maybe they got a divorce and she's back to being Susan Ford now. And the question is, are the kids' names Hughes? Or are they Ford? You know what I mean? And their kids, I don't know if they're still kids. Susan, there's probably a picture of her with her 2 kids somewhere, right? We got this new name. We can't even find out anything about it. This game is frustrating but crazy. All right. Destruction came weeks after he married. The destruction came weeks after he married the school's newest teacher. Weeks after he married, and this is from 1982. 1982. Which is, yeah. Weeks after they got married, he smashes up everything. The Hudson Wing? Imagine that this would be in anything else, but can I search it? Spider search it. Hudson Wing was an expansion to the Grandorf Dove, first built in 1982. It's a separate, much smaller building, half a block from the main campus. Operates. I don't have any water or anything to drink, Fairy Orb. My bad. I was in like such a rush to get home. Hubby, if you hear that, I could use some water. Maybe he'll bring me something, but I think I was in such a rush to get home because I knew I was running late that I completely forgot to get anything to drink. But I will either refund it or if my husband comes in and brings me something, I'll drink some water. Alright, separate, much smaller building, half a block from the main campus, operates as a smaller independent school that offers free ASL courses for family members, friends, and caretakers of deaf children. According to their history site, they got their name after the president of the Roottrees company generously donated $250,000 towards the construction of the building. There's also a very vague history section that you can somewhat fill in with the details from other information you've seen about the school. It mentions that the donation came at the insistence of an employee of Roottrees at the time. It mentions that she learned ASL from the main school, before the Hudson Wing even existed, to surprise her future husband, who was deaf. After realizing how useful a service like this could be to non-deaf people that wish to better serve those with hearing issues, she convinced Roottrees management to invest in the school. The Hudson Wing opened and she became the first teacher at the new campus. At first, it only operated on the weekends, but since then it has added afternoon classes to some weekdays. I don't feel like this told me anything new. I don't feel like this was anything new. I mean, I feel like we'd already kind of gotten this whole fact that he was her husband. Hi. You would give me water. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Search periodicals. Aha! Searching Grandorf School for the Deaf got me something new. Grandorf School for the Deaf has made a few odd appearances here and there in the Butler County Times since 1990. It's not too many that you can't look at all of them, and so after scrolling through a few pages, you managed to find something incredibly useful in an article that isn't even focused on the school itself. Local students provide key evidence in scientific study. Do we think Hudson took advantage of this girl? Like, if you want this money for this thing, you'll sort of have to, or you'll have to sleep with me sort of deal? Possibly. Possibly. Of course, like, she also knew, like, a ton of stuff about him because she spoke 5 languages, and I think she was, like, the translator for, like, Roottrees China and Roottrees France and Roottrees Brazil or whatever. Alright, this article from March of this year, 99. Oh, this year. Yeah, mentions that the Ford sisters, this must be her 2 daughters, who attend public school in Butler County, are one of only a handful of identical twins in the world who suffer from 2 different genetic issues. One of them has asthma, and the other has a deadly allergy to peanuts. Their mother, a Miss Susie Ford, who is principal at the nearby Grandorf School for the Deaf, was originally contacted by researchers looking to identify if there were any sets of twins where one was born deaf and the other was not. While she didn't have any twins attending her school, she asked if her daughters, Melissa and Heather, could be useful, and it turns out they were. She says they couldn't be more different. My youngest, we all call her that even though it's only by about 15 minutes, is shy. Thank you, my love. I appreciate it. I came in here without any water. You gonna hang out in here? Or... Blah. That's tea. Thank you. He got me tea. I thought it was water. And I was like, blah. Alright, my youngest is shy, but essentially hasn't stopped running from the moment she's learned to scamper. Asma kept her sister off the soccer field, but she is the definition of extrovert and is even performing in a local production of Is There Life After High School later this year. The article includes a picture of the girls added to your evidence. Okay, so one is a soccer player. One is a stage performer. They are both students. Probably K through 12 still. Yeah, because it's March of this year. Melissa and Heather. Okay. So we might just have to switch them back and forth. What's the thing we got? Here we go. So this one who has asthma is not the soccer player. This one who has an EpiPen. Okay. Yeah. Left is holding an inhaler, right is an EpiPen. Okay. So this one is the soccer player. My youngest is shy, but hasn't stopped running from the moment she learned to scamper. So the one with the EpiPen is the younger. So it's older and younger. And then we just need to switch their names maybe back and forth. Older, younger. I think they both look like they're still K through 12. And then it was Melissa and Heather. Let's try the other way around. Unless they're not K through 12. A local production of Is There Life After High School? Oh, last name Ford. That's true. We did it! We got everybody! Well, we got up to 30. We'll see who these 2 remaining relatives are. Yay! I think the only thing we've missed is an extra picture of Susan Ford. Ooh, let's see what they have to say.
Hi again. I know you probably thought you were done.
I did. Hello, White Star Witcher. How are you? We're doing good. We're just about to finish up the Roottrees are dead.
But it turns out what you're doing here might have some pretty major repercussions on the family tree.
Yeah, you don't... That's what we've been talking about this whole time.
Again.
Booyah.
Also, there's something really strange happening. I can't explain it.
Neither of us can.
I'd call it a simple misunderstanding, but it's digging at the pit of my stomach. I just have a feeling.
Last week, let's just say being the president, sometimes people bring me things.
Mm-hmm.
Just skip to the important part.
Right. One of our janitors brought me some hair she'd found in Ruby Spratt's trash. It was Bonnie Hudson's.
What? Ruby Spratt is their lawyer, right? And was Bonnie Guy's wife? Guy's sister?
Bonnie is Guy's sister.
Guy? It's
she
Guy?
sent us her hair to test potential Roottrees, since her DNA is closest to Guy's.
It's not like the French name Guy? Well, good thing I've been pronouncing this wrong for several hours. Doing good. Glad to have power back after like 18 hours. Oh no, that's a really long time without power. What happened? Okay, Bonnie is Guy's sister. She sent us her hair to test potential Roottrees. Okay.
But Ruby threw it out, and I wasn't sure why she would have done that. Especially right before we began testing the tree you provided.
Is maybe not really Guy's sister, or do we think that Guy isn't really a root
When I
tree or
asked,
something?
she told me she thought the samples needed to be fresh every time they did a test.
What?
It seems really odd.
What?
Ruby was the one who convinced us to
What?
do DNA testing in the first place. She
What?
seemed so knowledgeable. I don't like it.
Mm-mm.
You've done more of a deep dive on these people than
I don't
anybody
either.
else has. Clark will keep a closer eye
Buckle
on
up,
the
about
DNA
to do a
tests
deep
from
dive
now
on
on.
Ruby. Ruby is sauce.
You have an eye for anomalies.
Yeah,
We
she's like,
need
oops,
you
I
to find
threw
the
it
smoking
out.
guns.
If there's anyone you're 100% positive can't be a root tree,
Or any you've got definitive evidence are root trees, then we might be able to catch Ruby in a lie.
Oh no. Ruby is totally up to something. Yeah, that's true. We knew that already. Huge storm swept through. It lasted like an hour and a half. Ooh, winds at 72 miles an hour. Yep, that'll do it. Alright, let's open this on. Oh, envelope. Oh, no! 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 Now it's time to review all the possible root trees and input your deductions. You'll then be able to end your search and reveal the truth. You have 13 possible root trees left to identify. What? 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 No, dude. No. I don't remember. It's been like many hours. So what do I say? Possible root tree? Are smoking guns 10 out of 15? I didn't even find anything. Some places got hail. For us, we just got such heavy rain that it looked like mist rather than rain. Oof. I thought we knew he was a blood relative. Okay. But it's impossible. You haven't found this clue yet. I thought we were like almost done. This last time we like opened the envelope and it was like, oh, here's, you fill in two. There you are. Oh my goodness, that little emote is exactly how I feel right now. Last time we opened it up and it was like those two dudes and I was like, oh yeah, we know who they are. Where'd they even go? Oh, there they are. I was like, yeah, we know who they are. Easy peasy, done. We don't know that for sure because Ruby tested it and she's so sus. Ah! Okay, so she threw out Bonnie's. She threw out his sister's hair. So she's... Oh, shut up. Do we think she is a possible root tree? You don't have any portraits. This is a possible infidelity with Guy Hudson. There's another possible infidelity in my inconsistencies section. Is it just Anonymom secretary for the other one? Could be. Okay, so all we have in our stuff is a confusing development. According to Clark, Ruby Spratt, company's lawyer, caught throwing away DNA samples from Bonnie Hudson. These were intended to be used to test new potential root trees. Something doesn't sit right with Sam, and the two of them asked for your help. They're hoping that with your evidence and understanding the family tree, you could verify which people in the dotted boxes are almost certainly legitimate root trees, very unlikely to be root trees, and which of them are too ambiguous to make a decision one way or another. Additionally, with the suspicion on Ruby Spratt, it's possible that some of her behaviors in the past have also been cast into doubt. A new section of the tree has been added for you to fill in. Do we think that, like, she had an affair with him or something, like, way back when? And because of that, she doesn't want anyone else to become a root tree because she thinks she'll get a larger share of the root tree fortune if there's less root trees out there. Alright, what we got? We got reminders. So this, because these are the only things with intuition points left, are reminders and notable events. So yeah, I wonder if Anonymom is one of them. Because, oh, that's true. Because Anonymom, they did a DNA test and it wasn't her, is what they said. Okay, hang on, alright. Previously on the Roottrees are dead. Okay. Rootree Candy Company, founded by Elias and Gwyneth many years ago. The entire family has a financial reliance on the health of that company. Most of it took place in or around Butler County. Elias, Carl, and Raina were on the cover of magazines. Other notable Roottrees, such as Lauren, Miracle, Jim, had physical media. Lauren's 2 diaries were probably the most useful resources overall, mentioning many of her relatives directly. 5 pieces, Elias's children, could be identified based on the initials of candy flavors. 5 presidents, Stephanie Jones and Brian Jones, were featured in campaign posters, led to Carolyn Morton's art book, which enables you to fill out more of the tree. I don't know if we ever actually found her art book. I don't remember. Many of the younger Roottrees were found by following a complex rabbit hole through a conspiracy site that led to finding a searchable address for Chris Rafferty. November was really difficult to place. Her occupation will only be found via Brian Jones's company website. Ronald and his brother Robbie Roottree go by Ron and Bob, and Robbie both worked on a TV show called Brother Trouble until Robbie embezzled money, fled to Paris. Ron unsuccessfully tried to have Robbie removed from the Clancy Trust. No, Ruby isn't old enough for that. I think she's, involved with the rapper man. Possibly. Sam and her father were cryptically mentioned in a book about the historical letters. Few dead ends and red herrings. Aloysius Herring Roottree, who claimed he was a Roottree but was not. A Family Man, a book about Elias Roottree, turned out to be propaganda and not useful. So this is the one that was the book by Bess Williams. Lauren's other books, historical romance novels, were not very useful on their own. Caroline Morton's sculptures were not useful. That and, Anonymom and Jane Doe Roottree. If truth, make her daughter yet another secret Roottree. No, it's turned. Okay. As more and more of Anonymom's story came out, people began to notice how much it echoed 5 pieces in nearly every significant way. Do we think Ruby Spratt is Anonymom? Or is Jane Doe Roottree? And they found out maybe that she was not. And she was upset about, I don't know. Confirming the DNA test, orchestrated by lawyers on both sides, proved that her daughter was not a Roottree. Final event. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay. We have a picture of Anonymom. Or... Okay. Is this Ruby? Can we find a picture of Ruby? And it turns out that's a picture of her. Alright. Anonymous woman claimed to have had an affair with Guy Hudson while she was working as his secretary. If she was, there would be no reason for her to fake the DNA test. That's true. She and another woman were hired at the same time during a transition period while many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach Morton were already gone. She says that she and the other woman were both underqualified as neither had typewriter experience. Okay. So, alright. But the problem is, like, none of this, the Anonymom stuff, doesn't have any intuition points next to it. You know what I mean? It's like, why wouldn't they flag that as... And whoever this is, yeah, it's possible infidelity in a person who's married. God. Alright, let's start up here with Frank Williams. Okay, I found everything. Right? She was an author, born in the late 1800s. She lived just outside Miami, died tragically young in a major hurricane. So she wrote the book. So the question is, like, why would she write the book? And then there was the stuff about where, diary cruelty, yes, this one, the lisp. Blood is thicker than syrup, but nothing's thicker than Elias. They mimic Grandma Gwyneth's lisp and see her as a weakness. Elias, Elias, please remember Sam. Not even our family's maladies and religion go unmocked. Remember God put only one eye in miracle. Where's the... I thought there was something about her having the lisp and calling her Beth instead of Bess. But that was somewhere else. That was... here? That was... it was in one of these. Something about her lisp. I don't remember where, though. Okay. Elias may have also cheated on Gwyneth. Gwyneth was always much kinder to Sam than Elias was. Gwyneth was able to coerce Elias into allowing Sam back into the family using some kind of leverage instead of it being a natural course of events. She mentioned that Elias and Gwyneth were known to loudly argue, sometimes about another woman. Sam also says her son Ernie once asked her who's Beth because he overheard them yelling about someone with that name. As far as Sam knows, Elias once had a secretary named Elizabeth. Okay, that was... I mean, this isn't much information. There's no way. He might be a Rootree, but it's impossible to prove. It's impossible to prove. We don't have any DNA to even do... Well, I guess we have, like, his daughters and granddaughters and stuff. But, like, the only thing we have here, the only smoking guns, is basically... the other book mentioned Ernie's lisp. So, Bess... Yeah. So basically, like, all we know is that Gwyneth had a lisp. They argued about a woman, saying who's Beth, but it was probably Bess. We know that Bess wrote a book about Elias, saying how great he was. I don't know that one's... I don't think any of these are really, like, smoking guns here. I can't say that he's a blood... I don't feel like I can say it in any of these. You know? Do we want to just mark these as true because it's fun? Alright, we had Mary Beth Quaker and Miracle Roottrees. Found 5 out of 6. 2 out of 2. I mean, so what? We just basically know that Mary Beth played at Miracle's church one time. Or 2 times or something. Moved when he heard Mary Beth's recording one of his favorite hymns. We want to say that Miracle is a cheating jerk. Yes. Because wasn't that the thing that, like, she... I don't remember. Yeah, unusual circumstances of her second son's adoption have prevented her from touring recently. The unusual circumstances of her second son's adoption. And her second son was Crocodile. I'm trying to remember how this goes. Right, okay. She adopted 2 children, Stuart and Mark, and Stuart here is the older of the 2. In the late 40s. She says she found, yeah, he was the basket baby, the, like, Moses baby. She's specifically there to detail her experience going through the system to adopt Stuart, the older. Her other son was adopted later, and according to a single line on one adoption site, under unusual circumstances. Do we think that the one son is maybe really... Well, no. She adopted 2 children. Because she seems to have like a lot of details about adopting Stuart, and then not as many details and like weird circumstances about adopting Crocodile. Mark. Right, the basket baby. I thought this was gonna be so easy once we finished it. I'm like a little bit mad. Alright, so this is saying somebody left a baby on her doorstep. So this was in 1950. Or a few sites mentioned that in 1950, found herself dealing with a real-life baby Moses. Tostadito Fiesta. Fuegos Fiesta. I forgot about Tostadito. Basket baby is her baby. It's her and Miracle's baby. And I'm sure about it. What did I miss on him? Because if he was a baby in 1950 that was left on her doorstep, and I wonder when she toured the things at Miracle's place, you know? I was trying to figure out the first visit from 1949. Oh, she's mentioned 2 times, but the first visit from 1949 was significantly more substantial. Second visit was a few years later in 1953. So that's the idea, is that she went there in 1949 for her first visit, maybe had a baby with Miracle, and then in 1950 says, oh, a Miracle baby just showed, or like a basket baby showed up on my door. Yeah, and the unusual circumstances of her second son's adoption, aka her being pregnant, prevented her from touring recently. So we're saying he's a blood relative. We're saying, I feel like Stuart probably is not. Because Stuart was born before, or adopted before Mark Crocodile, and that would have been before her first visit even at the church. So I feel pretty okay about that. David Fellows. How much did I miss? And all this stuff with Ruby Legal Enterprises. Let's see. Need some chocolate. Ruby Spratt and her company, Ruby Legal Enterprises. Oh, maybe she wants to dissolve the Clanton Trust or something? Okay. Ruby approached the Roottrees sometime in late March after the Roottree Rift, but well before Roottree Mania. Hang on. After the Roottree Rift. In March, the Roottrees company stumbled publicly as they attempted to respond to the book's release with multiple conflicting press releases and clear lack of leadership. Okay, so after that, I was like when both Clark and like Ron or Robbie or somebody were like co-presidents for a bit, and it was like they released a bunch of things. So after that, but before Roottree Mania, so after the 5-piece thing, possibly. So she approached them around the same time as the 5-piece stuff was happening. An accomplished but relatively low-profile lawyer, she offered to work for very little money so long as she could be a public face to build her reputation. Family jumped quickly on this chance, as many family members oftentimes spend as little possible, keep their shares of the Clancy Trust as high as possible. After looking over the Clancy Trust more carefully than anyone had in years, Ruby came to the conclusion that Clancy Edward Roottrees' implementation was not legally sound. I wonder if that's true or not. The family decided to put her in charge of the trust, both legally and as a public face to prevent further issues. Ruby Legal Enterprises has been described as a mix between law firm and PR firm. First move was to help them draft a public statement accepting Sam into the family, declaring they'd begun to address the Clancy trust. This went quite well. They officially hired her in early April. But like directly after some nonsense involving the whole Clancy trust, with Sam was going on. Ruby Legal is now in charge of many financial aspects of the company, including verifying any claims of trust and organizing the various charitable causes such as scholarships that have been set up in the name of the deceased. Did I ever figure that out? I had it highlighted, but scholarships that have been set up in the name of the deceased? That would be like Carl Roottree and the Roottrees sisters. Did we ever? I don't know if I ever searched that. And Anonymom is in here. Huh. Okay. Roottree charities. What did I say? The Roottrees sisters set something up? Oh, the fashion scholarship. You have a good memory. Okay. Small memorial section to the deceased members of the family, but contains no new information. Okay, blah, blah, blah. There's also a scholarship page. On it, you find information about the Roottrees sisters fashion scholarship. Awarded to okay. Like other aspects of the trust, of the Clancy Trust, it's managed by Ruby Legal Enterprises. Okay. This is Business Watch. Okay. Sometime in late March, she approached them. And in early April, they officially hired her. So Ruby Spratt went to Mideastern. Her valedictorian speech, somewhat controversial at the time, heavy focus on wealth inequality. Perfect GPA. Passionate attempt to use her. Okay. So yeah, maybe she's trying to like dissolve the trust, take control of the money, and then like disperse it. Like maybe she's mad at the inequality of wealth. Okay. What clues did I find? Where is Ruby from? Ruby Spratt, like her legal company, is relatively elusive. The most complete source of information you can find from before her time with the Roottrees is from the website for a magazine owned by a major airline. She is the subject of one article from a recurring series about modern-day success stories. Grew up in foster care, but excelled at school, earned a scholarship to study at Mideastern. From there, she graduated top of her legal class, quickly hired, bless you, as a lawyer for a prominent firm. High-profile corporate-involved cases, something about manufacturer of steering wheel covers. Oh, hometown of Portland. Portland. We have the Portland Periodical magazine, Portland Telegraph, which I don't think we had before. Okay. Ruby Spratt was featured in the Portland Telegraph when she was in high school in an article called Local Teen Making Change for Foster Care System. Now, wasn't 5Ps from Portland as well? According to the article, Ruby Spratt grew up in the foster care system, was apparently the valedictorian of her school, and was a Girl Scout who at the time of the article was earning her Gold Award. This required a project to help the community, and Ruby chose to raise money to build a fountain she called Foster Fountain. Fountain has a few small pedestals that stick high above the water. People are expected to toss coins into the fountain for good luck and will be encouraged to aim for the top of the pedestals. All the coins scraped from the bottom are slated to be donated to Portland's foster care system. Local coalition of local businesses that sponsored the fountain have committed to matching any of the donations that successfully land on the targets. Interesting. Yeah, foster care like Felix Fellows. Maybe they were in the same foster care. Ooh, and that's one of the things. We found one. Okay. Yeah, I remember that was suspicious about her and 5Ps being from the same city and both in foster care. I did not put that together. Okay. This is the Roottrees Rift. Okay. So... I'm trying to see, like, was Anonymom also from Portland or something, you know what I mean? Yeah, Jane Doe Roottrees has already been eliminated as a potential new Roottrie by the company's lawyers. Felix Fellows. Okay. Mother was Joanna was Zach Morton's secretary, then Guy Hudson's secretary. They divorced and then they moved to Portland. He grew up with her until he was 16. She never came home. The only things he had to remember her by was a hairbrush she always used, some photos, and a stuffed animal from her childhood. Okay, love letters to Guy. Okay, yeah, Felix went into foster care soon after. It is possible to prove if someone's a Roottrie if they're modern. I know if that's what the DNA testing. Yeah, I don't know why they don't just DNA test everybody, but what do I know? There's so many clues we haven't found. So I wonder if he is not a Roottrie. Like, I wonder if it's wrong. If she somehow orchestrated this. Maybe they're, like, secretly together and dating, like, her and Felix Fellows. There's so much we didn't find. She joined the Roottrie legal team to figure out the plans and trust before having someone come as a Roottrie. I feel like it's still fully possible for Fellows to be a Roottrie. Let me take a look at some of the other ones for a second. Okay, Christine Farrow and the two Garland boys. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, what was all this? Caterer from a local restaurant called Antonelli's. Yeah, met her daughter at one of Guy's parties, and they eloped quickly due to a pregnancy. Elizabeth wasn't aware that the party was for swingers. She showed up with Guy and didn't seem comfortable switching partners. I mean, if anything, it's possible that the first son is, but not the second one. You know? Chef's signature. Does it matter what we put? Maybe Felix already knew about the Roottrees thing, but didn't think he could get any money till Ruby joined the legal team. Yes, first son, but not younger son. So we can say probably, yeah. No. They have the same articles. The plated loaf. Why is this? Oh. For years, two bakers flirted, grew friendship, compared recipes. He was one day whisked away, conscripted to bake the army's bread. Okay. 10 to 12 years later, they met again, seemingly by fate. Flora's unique dough had earned her a position as the king's personal baker. He baked for a bunch of people. Upon seeing him, she was both delighted and distraught. She had already prepared buns for the palace ovens. Yeah. Yeah. Indicates that she was pregnant by someone else before marrying the baker man. Okay. Even if they didn't know so far. Okay. Spent 3 days baking together. They weren't twins, were they? The boys? What am I looking for here? No, the boys are not twins. Okay. Aha, Robert, who is 3 years younger than James. Perfect. Okay, so we're saying maybe yes, he is because of the story in that book. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying, like, he's a blood relative. Like, I don't know to test it. So, she already had a bun in the oven according to the story. So, James is likely a Roottrie because she was maybe pregnant when they got back together. Robert, though, was born 3 years later and they were together at that time. And the idea is that, let's see, Christine Farrow was hired in 76 and then no longer among the secretaries listed, but Christine Garland had been hired. And 2 years later, she wasn't even working there. So yeah, 3 years later, it couldn't be his baby. Okay. This one I've had doubts about the entire time. So Xinyu Lang, she's the one where it's like she was possibly pregnant, and so they had that whole thing about like the DNA testing, or the, not DNA, the in vitro fertilization by Q genes. Beatrice Watts might be her anonym. I'm gonna say she's not a Roottrie. If anybody is, it's not this girl. It's Xinyu's nephew. I don't think this girl is a Roottrie. Beatrice Watts. Beatrice Watts and Corinne Schwartz were hired. Well, so the thing about Anonymom, though, is Anonymom said that she and another woman... Hang on. Okay. She and another woman were hired at the same time. During a transition period, while many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach Morden were already gone. Buggy. She's like meowing like crazy down here. Okay. So the secretaries who worked for Zach Morden were gone. And hang on. Elizabeth. Sorry, my brain's trying to put it all together. Okay. This is when we switched over, right? This is when Zach Morton was the leader. Secretaries were Juliet McCullen, Joanna Robertson, Doris Mays, and Beth Knox. So anybody who would have been working here, and then we transitioned over, right? Okay. Juliet McCullen, Joanna Robertson, who is Joanna Fellows, Doris Mays, and Beth Knox. So in 77, Guy Hudson came in, replaces special management. Okay. Joanna Fellows is still there. Okay, here. Joanna Fellows and Beth Knox are no longer employed by Roottrees. So 1977 is when they kind of... And Christine Farrow... Okay. Christine Farrow was hired. Joanna Robertson's still there. Then they quit. Or were fired or whatever. Christine Farrow's still there. So here we go. Guy Hudson replaces Zachariah Morden. So Christine Garland's now no longer working for Roottrees. Okay, so we said Corrine Schwartz. Here we go. Yeah, Anonymon was hired along with another woman. So Corrine Schwartz and Beatrice Watts. Now, who was Corrine Schwartz? And we said she was not a Anonymon, but no. I don't remember why I put that, but okay, let's go with Beatrice Watts. Here's Juliet McCullen, Doris Mays, so those were the remaining two. So it's possible Lisa Lewis and Valerie Ewing might also be some, but we'll think it's these two. So who's Beatrice Watts? Alright. Confirm not. I know, the problem is I didn't, like, write down what source. Nanamon was second high-profile case. She slept with Guy. Thought it was a Roottrees. Referred to her daughter as Jane Doe. The name Anonymon was not self-inflicted. Okay. Due to some parts of the story she found particularly credible. People became skeptical of her story due to extreme similarity to 5Ps. Many of the same details as his mother's story. Corrine Schwartz. Is that right? Some of the people attempting to track down Anonymon were harassing her. Journalists involved have independently verified that she is not Anonymon. Okay, cool. Her job as a secretary in the time period late 70s. Each party ensured their respective clients provided accurate samples. Immediately after the negative results were released, many of those had been skeptical. Okay. Alright. Well. Okay. I wonder if she's even able to be, like, put in. Possible. Buddy rabbit. Okay. We know this is all Anonymon stuff. Okay, Jane Doe Roottrees. The question is, like, how to find out any of this information. Like, this is so hard because we don't really even know who they are. Yeah, who would her daughter be is the real question. Can we find her daughter's name and occupation? Possibly, but how? Okay, did Beatrice change her name at any point? Beatrice Watts, Corey, and Schwartz were hired. 2 years later, they're no longer employed. Okay. So they were hired in 78, and 2 years later, they were both no longer employed. Is anybody else no longer employed that same year? Douglas Rosenberg, Edward Morrison. Like, I'm wondering if, like, she married somebody else and they, like, quit or something. You know what I mean? Hi, kitty kitty. Edward Morrison. They weren't hired until 1980. Okay, so they were hired. These two were, or they were fired or whatever. These two were hired. William Sams. I don't know. The question is, how do we find out more information about them? Because the problem is, searching Beatrice Watts doesn't get me anything, you know? Is it, like, when I looked up Corrine Schwartz, it was like, no, they thought she was a non-mom and she's not. When Beatrice Watts, it's like, zero information. That's what I was gonna go to the next thing down, Lisa Lewis or Valerie Ewing. Yep. That was my next thought. Or let's see. Yeah, Beatrice Watts, Corrine Schwartz. Yeah, the next year, Lisa Lewis and Valerie Ewing. Hey, hey. No, thank you. Do not scratch my chair. I forgot to search them in. Because they said it was the late 70s. I'm not really coming up with anything on any of them. Okay, real quick. Alright, Company of Records 1980, 1981. 1980, Susan Ford was moved to office staff. And then Caviar, right? More Caviar. Michelle Paulo, Sonia Alves, Nia Alves. Significant inheritance in 1980. She received a significant inheritance in 1980. She received a significant inheritance in 1980. Gotta be something somewhere if these journalists can find Corrine Schwartz based on the little information. That's exactly, yeah, that's why I'm like, is it not one of them? Is it actually Corinne Schwartz and the independent investigators were wrong? She received a significant inheritance in 1980. I wonder if that significant inheritance was from Guy Hudson. Lists her as unmarried, stays out of the spotlight. I mean, why would he send her money? Extremely private about her identity. Once used her connections to have a reporter fired. Okay. Yeah, the final claim was that she must have made her money under the table through nefarious and possibly illegal means during Brazil's dictatorship, as his research uncovered that she could not possibly have earned enough to start a media company otherwise. So the question is, why would Guy pay her unless it was probably Guy's kid? Like, I wonder if that's what the caviar flavor money development, $10,000 a month. Like, what if that's all just payment for the kid? Like, yeah. Now, what do we think about Susan Ford? Because here's the thing. I don't know how hereditary being deaf is. Like, I don't... Let's see what we have. Yeah. It's Thomas Hughes. A few weeks after they got married, convinced he was not the father of Mrs. Hughes' current pregnancy. And the current pregnancy is both girls, because the girls are twins. The twins are probably guys. Yeah, the $250,000... they aren't deaf, which doesn't necessarily mean, but maybe makes it more likely that they're guys' kids. And in 1982, when was that article? Okay, so the article was in 1982, and she got fired that year, or no longer employed. And it was in 1981, the year before, that he made that donation. Picoti page 2. Okay. He was the president of the Union. Okay. Mid 1981. Okay. He sent his mistress, Susie something. So it was Susan Ford, into the bathroom to proposition me. A poor girl, I remembered her from our trips overseas. Okay. I feel like they're probably blood relatives, if I had to guess. I don't blame any of these women for these affairs. Guy was a man in power. These probably... I blame them a little bit. Especially the ones who were married. I mean, if it happened before they got married, that's something, I guess. I don't know. Alright. So we've filled out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11? I thought I had 13 of these to do. Oh, I have 4 possible root trees left to identify. 1, 2? It's funny because, yeah, on the tree, Guy and Patricia never had any kids. Who am I missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And like I said, I remember it saying that there were 14. Most of these did happen, yeah, before they got married or to women who never did marry. And that's like one thing. But like, if you were married, you shouldn't be sleeping with other guys. Well, then who's left? What in the... Input your deductions and you'll be able to end your search and reveal the truth. You have 4 possible root trees left to identify. 1, 2... Yeah, right. Patricia was also into women. You're a root tree. I don't understand. What does it mean I have 4 left to identify? Like, out of curiosity. No, it still says 4. Okay, hang on here. Okay. What? What? Well, where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? What? Excuse me? Let's get in there, I guess. Apparently freaking everything about Robert and Ronald, Gwen's kids, Gwen's twins. Her and Wild Bill, what's his face? Wild Bill Williams. What? What? Okay. I am also incredibly confused. Hang on, let me just search. Oh, there's an older version of this page. This is new. Okay. Oh, no, she died. Okay. Rob and Ron are not twins. They're not twins. I thought they were. No, maybe they're not. Maybe I'm misremembering. There's so many people in this game, and there's so many times where, and there's so much time in between these streams. Okay. She shouldn't have been named Roottrees, but her father took her mother's famous name. Okay. Gwen Roottrees was a somewhat well-known actress who was active in the 1950s. Now, we do know that Ron tried to take over as president, right? There was, like, that whole thing where he tried to claim he was president, and then Clark was president, and there was, like, the weird notice that came out or whatever. She died in Paris, France about 3 weeks ago. After leaving Hollywood, she made no effort to stay in the limelight. Most obituaries tend to focus on her largest role, guys like us. Not much is known about her death, except that it was announced that she died peacefully in her sleep while being treated for a sudden severe case of pneumonia. Before that, she had apparently been in relatively good health. At 67 years old? If you were in good health, I mean, I guess if it was a severe case of pneumonia and she didn't get treatment or something right away. Starlet, okay. Gossip is speculative and full of tabloid stereotypes. And Starlet is the, tabloid about old Hollywood. That's old Hollywood, okay. The gossip is speculative and full of tabloid stereotypes, okay. Some of it focuses on the fact that when she announced her divorce, she also announced she was pregnant again. Do we think possibly she was sleeping with somebody else? And because she was pregnant again with somebody else's baby? Yeah, others mentioned that the rumor is while Bill had multiple affairs, which left her heartbroken, maybe she had multiple affairs, which left him heartbroken. Also, an interview from earlier in mid-1957 where she was asked about her last name. Roottrees has power. Wild Bill, infamous name. Okay. Although we've relocated to Paris, I know your readers love to keep up with my husband, so consider this a Starlet exclusive. We have a child on the way. We're sticking with Roottrees for the last name. What else is there to find out about? Okay, so this page got updated. Oh, okay, so we maybe need to research all of her stuff. No, this is the same page. Right, I tried Guys Like Us. Oh, here we go. Guys Like Us is a 1953 comedy film in which two secretaries cut their hair short, pose as businessmen to get ahead in life until one of them falls in love with their client and hilarity ensues. Starring Gwen Roottrees, Leslie Florence, and Harrison Lane. It was recently released for the first time on home video due to Roottrees mania. The time it took to manufacture and ship VHS copies of Guys Like Us meant that it missed the height of the craze, which only lasted a few weeks. Even so, it did sell modestly well, and there have been talks of a remake. Okay, so that was on there. Okay, let's maybe search some of the other people. Leslie Florence was the other actress. Okay. Her performance was generally thought of as quite good. Okay. Recently, as part of the myriad of articles and research people have gone into surrounding the Roottrees... Wait, hang on. Okay. Okay. It came out that she died of a genetic disease known as Huntington's. Well, Huntington's... I will never understand why some people name their twins similar names. It's just a bad idea. I can't even remember if they are twins, but still, I agree, bad idea. I was gonna say, I thought most people of Huntington's die in their 30s, but I can't remember how. I was like, I can't remember how it's genetically passed, or if it's like fatal to. I couldn't remember if it's related to their sex, like if it was more common in males, or what do you call it? Like a sex-linked gene. Where it's like on the X or the Y chromosome, but I can't remember. Huntington's is a neurodegenerative disease that mostly recognizably causes memory issues and uncontrollable movements in the limbs. Rob and Ron are twins are different. Okay. Either way. Of course, my parents' name me the same name as my father's elder son. That was just pure stupidity. So you guys have the same name? That's annoying. Okay, after symptom onset, somewhere between age 30 and 50, those affected by Huntington's typically live another 15 to 18 years as their symptoms worsen. So hang on. Huntington's is passed genetically from parent to child. The genes that causes Huntington's works in such a way that if a parent has the disease, there's a 50-50 chance that their child will get it. Huntington's cannot be passed on recessively, meaning it cannot skip a generation. In other words, if someone has a mother or father with Huntington's, but they themselves did not receive it from that parent, their children will also never have it, and their grandchildren, and so on. So is this why she retired? Possibly because she had Huntington's, and maybe they didn't want anybody to know because they know that it's genetic related, and that would maybe cause some questions of who did she inherit it from? That's what I was thinking, if she got it and then died at 67. Because like I said, it seems a little bit off that somebody in good health would die of a severe case of pneumonia at 67. Like maybe if she were in like her 70s, 80s, 90s, I don't know. Okay, if someone has a mother or father with Huntington's, they themselves did not receive it, their children will also never have it. Until the 1990s, it was impossible to test for Huntington's. Instead, symptoms would usually appear later in life. This would often be after the person affected already had children. Yeah, that was always the issue, was knowing like, oh, yeah, like somebody in our family had it, and then you don't find out till later, but by that time you've already had children, so it's not like you can forego having children to prevent passing it on. You've already by that time had kids, and yeah, the question is, do they have it or not? It would then be impossible to know if their children had it, as it was just a 50-50 chance. In 93, due to determining which gene causes Huntington's, it did become possible to test children for it and know if the disease was passed on or not. For a variety of complex reasons, however, children are considered unable to consent to such a test, and therefore are very rarely tested unless they're showing early symptoms. Okay. But wait, none of this is important, because it wasn't even, this isn't about Gwen, this is about her co-star, Leslie Florence. Why did I read about that then? Oh, because what if Ron or Robert has Huntington's but Gwen didn't? I don't know. Came out that she died of a genetic disease. Unless this game developer is just trying to raise awareness for Huntington's disease. This hasn't been updated, but he was one of the guys in Guys Like Us. He married his high school sweetheart after they reunited at a movie premiere. Okay, so Leslie Florence and Huntington's disease are now on here. Alright, I feel like I just need to search Ronald Roottrees, and then I'll do Robert. Roottrees. Ah! Ron Roottrees. Here we go. Ron was announced as president of Roottrees during the Roottrees Rift, but the next press release immediately reversed the announcement and instead stated that Ron and Clark would take over. A few weeks later, Ron was dropped from the title entirely. I swear, I keep reading the surname as Roottrees rather than Roottrees. Fair. Hundreds of results about this development, most of them are retelling the basic details. Some veer into heavy speculation based on an article about Ron in Business Watch. Okay, we gotta search him in Business Watch in a second. Also done some interviews saying the truth of what went on behind the scenes is not something he wishes to discuss. Instead, he hopes to release a movie about it someday. 3 weeks ago, his mother died. He and his brother Robbie have seemingly made amends. Hang on. Let's get this boy in Business Watch. Business Watch ran an article about 2 months after the Roottrees Rift about what really happened with Roottrees. The article mentions that nobody from Roottrees that they reached out to was willing to go on record. Instead, the timeline of events has been constructed from public record, accidental leaks, and a source on the inside. The only parts that are new to you are also the most vague parts, the ones supposedly confirmed by their anonymous source. The timeline says that the family actually held a preliminary vote after Carl Roottrees died, but before the release of 6 Pieces, and decided they wanted Ron Roottrees to take over because of his experience running RR Productions and because he was a well-known and well-respected Roottrees. Of course, I've also been awake since yesterday with only 3 one-hour naps very early this morning. Nah. We would know if the Roottrees had Huntington's disease. Yeah, that would have popped up way before. We would have known if they did. This is important because if Ron or Rob have Huntington's, yeah, exactly, they aren't Roottrees. Okay. Ron seemed way too eager and personally motivated. They were worried he would gut the Clancy Trust to remove Robbie Roottrees. Their family was notoriously unwilling. What if one of them found out that one of the other brothers has Huntington's? I don't know. They stalled. Ron became frustrated with the delay. When 6 Pieces came out, he saw his chance to force action while the family was still in the limelight. Released the press release himself in an attempt to get the ball rolling faster. This caused chaos within the family. They tried to save face by allowing Ron to take over as co-president with Clark. But according to Business Watch's source, Ron was impossible to deal with. He seemed like he was unwilling to protect the Clancy Trust, and they eventually let him go. After that, the role passed solely to Clark, who nobody was excited about, but seemed like the safest choice. Classic case of infidelity. article. I just about said a different word that starts with N. Oh, that would have made their existence way worse. Yes. Classic case of infidelity. Okay. So let's try Robbie. Robbie Roottrees was released from French prison after serving a few years for assault. His embezzlement and arrest were partially featured in 6 pieces, as Robbie's participation in Clancy Trust was a key piece of evidence in Sam's favor, and have since become much more publicly infamous. He has not returned to the United States, but when journalists reached out to him recently after the death of his mother, he issued a blanket statement a few days ago. The death of my mother was hard on our family. My brother and I, after spending time together caring for her in mourning, had finally made amends. It was a highly transformative few weeks when it came to our relationship. I'm in recovery from my addiction, and a major aspect of the process is that I wish to stay positive. Okay, update. It's interesting that the update about Ron Roottrees didn't pop up. Revisiting the diary. Okay. Another bite of bunny rabbit. Roottrees France. Roottrees France. Let's see. Bless you. Just be careful leaning into that. Thanks. Wait, why is this important? Go away. Revisiting the diary. Clark. Oh, did I click on the wrong? Oh, I had the wrong thing clicked on. Okay. No Roottrees has ever remarried. Sure, I lost Jacob, and Gwen divorced Wild Bill just before she had her second. Not even I can blame her for that. I've seen what he gets up to in Starlit. Right before she had her second kiddo. Right before she had her second kid. Right before she had her second kid. She announced her divorce. She also announced she was pregnant again. Yeah, sorry, I think I had the wrong thing open. Yeah, that was all about Guy. She announced her divorce. She also announced she was pregnant again. But this says Gwen divorced Wild Bill just before she had her second. Right? She announced her divorce, and she was pregnant again. So she divorced Wild Bill just before she had her second kiddo. So she's pregnant again with her second kiddo, announcing her divorce, then she gets divorced. Okay. I've seen what he gets up to in Starlit. Did I ever really look him up? Mentioned many times, mostly about blondes. Mentions his first role under his real name. Second is an interview. Determined from context, he's talking about Gwen. Directing a war movie. I met someone. She spent most of the film crying. She was playing a soldier's wife. Even through the tears, she was incredible. Okay. Ironically, the third is a rumor that his divorce from Gwen was due to multiple affairs, including one with another actress. do we know the second kid was for sure hers? Like, did we see her pregnant the second time? I don't know. It just basically says, like, she announced her pregnancy at the same time she announced her voice. So here's the thing. An American reader on vacation in Paris claims to have overheard Wild Bill and Gwen arguing in public while she was holding a baby and visibly pregnant. Not long after, Gwen announced that she was divorcing Wild Bill and also that she was pregnant again, giving this rumor more credibility. So somebody saw her pregnant with the second baby. We don't know if anyone saw her pregnant with the first one. Everything here is about the second kid and the pregnancy. But the first one, Ron, the weirdo who tried to claim he was president, okay, so we're finding more stuff. Revisiting the diary. Okay. Yeah, I see in Clark. Okay, I was trying to see if there's anything else in there. So the claim is maybe that the first kiddo isn't. The second one is. Trying to see if they have like different features, you know. It seems like they kind of have like different face shapes and stuff, different eyebrows. Like they look somewhat different. Update Gwen Rootree, Robbie Rootree. They made This is about Robbie Rootree. Now, the update about Ron doesn't come in. There's another like big clue that we're missing. Update about Gwen. Update about what if I just look up Wild Bill Williams? Maybe. Okay. Wild Bill Williams, an actor known for his role in Fortune Favors the Grave. This is so weird. There's no claims of infidelity here, meaning most likely the situation is she took over caring for someone else's kid. Maybe Leslie or whatever, but Ron and Rob look really similar. True. And it may be like the both kids are hers, but we're just trying to figure out what happened and see if we can find out more information. Alright, Wild Bill Williams did not make an appearance at Gwen Rootree's funeral. Because of his absence, there are rumors online he must have already died. According to a reporter that tracked him down, he's still in his 70s, still lives in Paris, and is still in perfectly fine health. Okay, he's in fine health in his 70s. He doesn't have Huntington's. He even went on record as saying, I think it was Mark Twain who said, the rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated, and that seems appropriate today. The few years I spent with Gwen were just one stop along the very long and complicated journey that has been my life and career. Last time we spoke was when I signed the divorce papers. She asked me to never contact her or the kids again. I've always respected those wishes. They never reached out to me either, even as adults, so I have to assume they had some idea of why she hated me so much, and the sacrifices she made on my behalf. I wish them well and I'm sorry for their loss, but we've all been strangers for 40 years, so I can confidently say they wouldn't have wanted me to be there. In fact, I'm confident my presence would have ruined it. This may be an entire red herring, yes. Okay. So we got an update on Wild Bill Williams. Let's check out the movie he was in, maybe? I don't know if that's important, but... Okay. She asked me to never contact her or the kids again. Robbie Rootree. Released from French prison after serving a few years for assault. His embezzlement and arrest were partially featured in 6 pieces. As Robbie's participation in the Planted Trust was a key piece of evidence in Sam's favor. Where's 6 pieces? Wait, this is all the... Oh. Hang on, get out of here. What if I'm looking down here? Evidence. No? Where's all my previous evidence? Show everything. Thank you, there we go. Oh, I know, it's okay. Don't worry. I'm in it to win it. I'm in it to finish it today. I know it's late, but it's fine. I don't have anything going on tomorrow. Well, I was gonna check my calendar, but my phone is still dead. Okay. I was trying to see if there's anything in here about Ron or whatever, but I don't see anything. Or Robbie or whatever. His embezzlement and arrests were partially featured in 6 pieces. Alright. I wonder what his addiction was. I don't know. Robbie Roottrees, Guys Like Us, Huntington's Disease, Leslie Florence. What am I missing here? I know there's so much we haven't found. I know I'm thinking about like looking it up a little bit. Oh, Guys Like Us remake has been discussed a few times on our website. An upcoming film is called Movie News. Remembered cast is Cameron Diaz, Linda Fiorentino, and Chris O'Donnell. What was our old stuff on Ron and Rob? That's true. Well, hang on. According to leaked news, remake has been put on an indefinite hiatus due to its director, who was speculated to be Ron Roottrees, dropping out in the wake of a serious medical issue. Serious medical issue? Though that's only just a rumor. Okay. News time. Pico Tea. Silver Screen Magazine. Here's an article about Ron Roottrees from 1984 entitled Don't Blame Nepotism, He Gets Results. After finding some small-screen success, first as director for many soap opera episodes and stepping in as showrunner to turn around a few struggling productions, Ron's decided to start his own television production company. Born in the U.S., grew up in Paris with his once famous mother and his brother Robbie. Gobbled up American cinema, blah, 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 blah. Attentive director who can work with actors, make sure the time of a joke. Okay. Ron plans to pitch new shows to major television studios as soon as 1986. Until then, he plans to find the right project. He's occasionally called among his younger brother for script punch-ups and has thought about bringing him into the fold. Okay, that's old. The Guys Like Us remake is on here, though. Okay, so now we're only missing 2. We filled in quite a few of these. Teen Blast. I don't know. Back to the Guys Like Us remake. Cameron Diaz. Can they search like Cameron Diaz in like Teen Blast or something? Okay. That's true. Is he Robert? Is he Robbie? And did I do Ronald or Ron Roottrees? Did I do Ron in all of them? It sucks. I like literally can't remember. So what is up with RR Productions? Seems to have no projects listed in development other than Guys Like Us remake. What if they are in? Okay. Small Rumors article from 1992 claims self-taught television screenwriter Robbie Roottrees was allegedly tried and convicted under the name Robert in a French court of law. It seems he, again allegedly, embezzled from the company RR Productions to fuel a gambling habit that left him hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Then he fled to Paris, where he grew up. And then Silver Screen continues to insist that this is all very much allegedly assaulted an officer who came to question him. Article's author says they were unable to get a statement from French authorities, but received information from an anonymous source, were able to confirm through public record that there was a trial involving Robert Roottrees, and around that time, Brother Trouble was canceled. Brother Trouble, so this is old. Two 16-year-old brothers, same age. Tommy Mark Sheridan. Hey, that was the guy who was married to Raina, right? Single mother. Okay. Ron Roottrees. Canceled due to a significant drop-off in ratings. Alright, so let's see. I'm gonna do Robert Roottrees. Remember what I was like. Their names are so similar that I'm like forgetting what I was doing. I think that was similar. Okay, that's the one we just found. Teen Blast did a very short piece about Brother Trouble stars TMS's recent stint in rehab. Has gone through his fair share of hardships in the past year. We're all still reeling from the death of the Roottrees sisters, and he is closer to them than any of us. After his battle with addiction over the past few years led to a scary near-death experience, he vowed to make a change. Feels he's focusing on himself, his family, and his friends. Last year I lost my wife's, and only a few months ago I found out someone close to me has a pretty serious disease. He asked me not to talk about it, but over the next 5 or 10 years, it will likely get worse. All of the darkness has really put my own life into perspective. I almost threw it away. Turns out the most important thing I could do was stop trying to fix my problems by pretending they didn't exist. I urge your readers to make sure they're taking care of themselves as well. If you need help, seek it out. Oh, dang. Ah, okay, that was one of them. That was one of them. Or no, RR Productions was one of them? Oh, that didn't count as a thing? Oh, dang. Okay. So I feel like... Guys Like Us remake. Ron Roottrees dropping on the wing. So I feel like what they're insinuating is that Ron has Huntington's disease. So it's not a root tree because Gwyn didn't have it. And we're saying Robert is a blood relative. I'm just gonna go with that for now, because I don't know how much more I can look. Like, yes, I didn't find every single thing, but... I don't know. I don't know what I would have missed by this point. Team Blast. I'm in trouble. Dustin Christopher Baker. Okay, he's not really associated. And then who's the other one? Penelope Tessa Green. Wasn't she involved somehow? Comedian Penelope Tessa Green was part of a recent fundraiser at the Reno Comedy Club Laugh Lounge about a month ago. The fundraiser was called The Best Medicine and was to help find a cure for Huntington's disease. According to the website, she released a statement. Up until recently, I didn't know anything about Huntington's. In the last few months, I've gone from knowing nothing about it to learning more than any one person should ever have to. Till less than a decade ago, it was impossible to predict if someone susceptible to Huntington's had the disease, but due to advances in medicine, tests have been developed. Hopefully this increased awareness is the first step into finding a cure. Please join me for a night of comedy for a good cause. Bah! Wah, 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 wah. Alright. I know we still have to figure out all the anonymom shenanigans. 2 possible root trees left to identify. 2? 2. Oh, this one and... Like, should I play this again next Sunday? Like, I've been playing for nearly 3 hours now. And we still have 4 more things to find on David Fellows. And everything to find out on Anonymom. I don't know. I don't even know where to start on Anonymom. I might go back to Felix for a little bit, but I don't even know where to start on Anonymom. Picture of his mother and Guy Hudson. His mother, Joanna, was a secretary. His parents divorced when he was 4. I don't know how to find Anonymom. I don't know. I don't know either. Felix and his mother then moved to Portland. Can I search her in the periodicals? So I don't know that we had the periodicals back then when we initially searched him. Okay. Joanna Fellows mentioned briefly a few times around the time of her death. First time was about discovery of the body. Second time, some other details about the night she disappeared. Reiterates some things that are mentioned in the News Time article about her son. Single mother, worked at a video store, died of a drug overdose after stealing from the cash register. That didn't add anything. Okay. Foster fountain? I think it would be reasonable for Felix to be a root tree unless we find something contradicting. I think it's possible. Okay, Fountain of Youth, known as Foster Fountain. Fountain found in a small park in Portland. Okay. Originally conceived by Ruby Spratt. As more businesses signed on as sponsors, it grew in scope even beyond Ruby's original hopes. Okay. Fountain is unique because it has special targets that visitors can aim their coin towards. If a coin lands on one of these targets, each of the sponsor businesses matches it. Isn't a huge amount of money from each business. More than 100 businesses have agreed to participate, so each penny becomes $1. Okay. Dedication ceremony for local Portland landmark Cal Fountain of Views. Apparently, the unveiling of the fountain, Mayor of Portland made a speech, and there were performances by multiple local entertainers, as well as ribbon cutting from the people most instrumental in bringing the fountain into fruition. Article calls out that all the performers and speakers, with the exception of the mayor, were foster care alumni, and most of them grew up together as close friends. This includes poets, musicians, dancers. Dirty Davy was listed as one of the musicians. So they knew each other. Most of them grew up together as close friends. Oh, there we go. We just found 2 more things. Yeah. What is yes, I can jump? Oh, wasn't this the whole thing about his birthday was maybe like a little weird? Mixtape had to come out in 1992 at the earliest. Others point out that he references seeing this movie on his 17th birthday, but that would have been in 94. I wonder what that means. Like, why it's weird that his birthday is weird. He grew up with her until he was 16. So I guess maybe the question is, when exactly was he in foster care? Told you it was suspicious they grew up in the same area. Yo, she is sus. I agree with you. I'm just trying to figure out how to put it all together. Okay. Died of a drug overdose. Unable to track down his father. Here's the company records. We have Joanna Robertson / Fellows. How old would he be if Joanna was with Guy and Felix is Guy's kid? Okay, so like if he was 17 in 1992? The affair would have been in 75. If he was 17 in 1994, it would have been 77. So, 77? Because she wasn't hired. Oh no, she was hired back then. But Guy wasn't president until... Guy didn't really come into the picture until 77. So he would have been 17 in 1994. So the affair would have happened in 77. All your problems. The root of all evil. And this didn't have anything about the article or the lyrics not being important, right? 5 P's coming at you from the real world. Okay. Money is the root of all your problems. Okay. I don't think you somehow deserve it based on your family's creation. But look at your sonny, don't you come for okay. Had some chicken or 2 dads. My pappy's clans of trust should keep you away. Sermon catching a sermon from a okay. Expect me to treat your lectures on greed as some expert creed from you without let's see. share. Let's see, how better off penniless, grasping for morsels. Wanting my share that's actually okay. Maybe it's just like some gangster from Portland part that's important. Try not shaking the desk. Thank you. Let's see. Huh. Maybe this section? I'll do it all legally. Like maybe that part is important. I don't know. I don't know what this gives. Like, this is very high up in the thing. Like of all of, unless they're sorted out just by evidence and then searches. Hang on. Maybe that's just how they're organized. Yeah, okay. I thought it was just like really high up on the list. Okay, but it's probably the least important of the evidence. So maybe it's just the fact that he's a Portland gangster. Really do think the birthday is important because if he's too old or too young to be a child of Guy and Joanna, this is going to be our smoking gun. That's true. 17 magazines. Okay. Intro states it was written on Davy's 17th birthday and involved a fictional but glorified series of murders at a fashion show for a teenage magazine with similar name to the song title. Person doing the violence is apparently trying to beat Dahmer's high score. Okay. The intro states it was written on Davy's 17th birthday and involved a series. Okay. This person doing the violence was apparently trying to beat Dahmer's high score. But Jeffrey Dahmer, he had pleaded guilty to killing 16 people in 1992. Involved a fictional but glorified series of murders at a fashion show for a teenage magazine with a similar name to the song title. So 17 magazine. Okay. No audio or visual evidence of it existing. Independent accounts from people who have claimed to have heard it. They do generally line up. Yeah, so I guess the question is, when did the affair occur? You're right, Fairy. I'm like... Okay. So the intro states it was written on Davy's 17th birthday. Jeffrey Dahmer had pleaded guilty to killing 16 people in 1992. So this could have been written in 1992, or it could have been written afterwards. Yeah, if he turned 17 in 92 and he was born in 75, that is too early for the affair. The problem is he could have written that. The thing is, I feel like this article is saying it was written on his 17th birthday. And it's similar to an event that happened in 1992. That doesn't mean he wrote it in 1992. Like, he could have written this in 1994. Referencing an event that happened in 92. First release of his first mixtape. The Dirty D. Yeah, discrepancies and debates about what year exactly it was released based on some of the pop culture references, with the range thought to be somewhere between 92 and 94. One of the songs, Yes I Can Jump, seems to be at the center of the confusion. In it, he references a popular movie from 1992 called White Men Can't Jump. This reference has caused some confusion among the fan base. Because of it, it is agreed upon that the mixtape had to come out in 92 at the earliest. But others point out that Fellows references seeing the movie on his 17th birthday. This would have been in 94. He references a popular movie from 1992. So just because he referenced a movie from 1992 doesn't mean that he wrote it in 92. He could have written it in 94. You know what I mean? Some take this to mean that the album had to have been released in 1994 at the earliest. Others claim that he was likely just trying to make himself sound older, since in response to some of the more questionable lyrics, he stated multiple times that he was just a dumb kid when it was released. So then we have this other track, 17 Magazines. This was also on that first mixtape, but it was removed. But that also seems to, so if he was writing things when he was 17, it's called 17 Magazines, is about events that happened in 92. Yeah, he might be too old. I'm not sure what we're missing here. The problem is it could be a spider search and it could be an article. Let me just double check. Let me try 5Ps, the Portland Telegraph. Ran out of articles in his hometown newspaper. If he went to see it in theaters when it came out, then it would have been in 92. That is true. That's why this is important. Yeah, the game wouldn't. That's true. That is true. I'm just gonna go through. Modern Music Monthly. Okay. And then I'll search Felix Fellows as well. Well, I don't know. Teen Blast, maybe? He wouldn't be in stuff about old Hollywood. Hang on. Okay, here we go. 5Ps is popular and attractive enough that even though his music is not targeted toward teen girls, they seem to be paying attention anyway. When he hasn't done any interviews for the magazine, they listen amongst hunky hotties for the past few months with small bios that tell you various facts about him. Includes his real name, David, his birthday, February 9, 1977, his star sign, Aquarius, and where he grew up, foster care in Portland. Letter to the editor also claims that it's not possible that he was born in 1977, as he claimed on a song called 17 Magazine that he turned 17 in 92. The editor responds to a statement that they've reached out to an agent asked about the song and were told it wasn't performed by 5Ps and they shouldn't print rumors. Now here's the other thing. His mom died when he was 16, right? So when did his mom pass? You know what I mean? I was thinking maybe if they put, lying because the Clancy trust and the money and all that kind of stuff. I was just trying to figure out, like, if we knew around when the time she died was, and he was 16 at the time, maybe we could put that, together a little bit. We're missing something. Give us a T, you stupid periodical. up with her until he was 16. She overdosed when he was 16. I don't know. I don't know what I'm missing here. Let me just see. Although his name is David Fellows. It's not even Felix Fellows. Let's see. Let's see. All right. I'm trying to like see if I can get like a couple like little hints. I don't detailed walkthrough. It's just like frustrating when it's like I don't know. What's the like little pieces that I missed or whatever? Was this possible infidelity number 3? Part 1. This part of the game is completely optional. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Alright, I don't know if I'm gonna like. This man also knew Guy Hudson was his dad, allegedly had seen all the love notes and whatever, and still rapped about how sexy he found the sisters. He's very messed up for his lying about the Guy Hudson. I'm just gonna say he's not a Roottrie. I'm just gonna. You're a completionist and you want all the info. Oh no, okay, alright. Evidence. I don't. I just want to know, like. Oh, I wonder if I can search his name and then search smoking guns. Okay. Smoking guns. Okay, here we go. Alright. This 17. Okay, found and well used. Anonymous. Okay. That was a bit of a spoiler. These will come up in a minute. These will come up in a minute. These will come up in a minute. Alright. Yeah. We'll just mark him as not for now. But we will get some stuff in a minute. Okay. So now we need Anonymom. I did get one hint of how to get started on that, and it's basically by just searching Jane Doe Roottrie in the periodicals. It's okay, don't worry about it. I know, I was like, I didn't think it would be related. It's related. Okay, hang on. Get out of here. An anonymous woman appeared on the cover of News Time holding a picture of her daughter, Jane Doe Roottrie. The first and only mention of the phrase Anonymom in News Time came this week after when they issued an apology for featuring her in the first place. Okay, we already have that article. Okay, so Picoti is not afraid to expose the details that other publications would avoid. Shortly after the announcement that Jane Doe Roottrie was not a Roottrie, Picoti exposed personal details about the story of Anonymom under the headline Anonymom the Anonicon. They said Anonymom worked as a manager at a department store in North Carolina, and her daughter's name was Courtney May. They also said that the woman that vouched for her famous cover story, they didn't identify news time, perhaps to avoid being sued, is named Corinne S. and that she had filed for bankruptcy. The article speculates that Anonymom and Corinne were in on it together, and even speculates that they might have been lovers. PQT is not a credible publication. Their information wasn't particularly actionable. Very few people seem to notice or care. Alright. So we've got Courtney May as Jane Doe Roottrees, and that her mom is friends with Corinne S. Alright. So that gives us a jumping off point. Courtney May. And that her mom was buddies with Corinne, and we had already identified Beatrice Watts as a secretary, although if she was something, she became a manager, right? Manager at a department store. So I don't know. So Courtney May Watts, that's what I'm thinking. Retail? She worked retail, maybe? Okay. Courtney May Watts. Wait, what? Here we go. Courtney May has a simple website with black text on a white background and a few images. From the view counter, you can tell you're one of only a few hundred people who's visited. She is not shy about claiming she is Jane Doe Roottrees. As proof, she has posted an unobscured cover from the time she was featured on News Time, as well as a different picture of herself that appears to be a wedding photo. Website seems to be created in defense of her mother, who has been the target of public scrutiny. Under the headline, The True Story of Jane Doe Roottrees, courtesy of Courtney May Newton, formerly Watts. Everyone has everything wrong. My mom approached the Roottrees before 5Ps was ever on the cover of News Time. Nobody at the Roottrees company took us seriously. They only listened to us after we appeared on TV and in magazines. The site has a scanned letter from the Ruby legal group to Courtney May's mother, Beatrice. In very polite legal terms, it seems to accuse her of exploiting their name and orders her to leave the Roottrees alone. It's dated from a few weeks before the 5Ps article appeared in News Time and seems legitimate. Courtney May also discusses her mother's magazine feature in more detail. Also, hear me out. Do you think, remember there was a whole lot of stuff about like their stories being so similar, Anonymom and 5Ps? What would, like, if Ruby Spratt had heard Anonymom and Jane Doe Roottrees' story, do you think they just took all of those details exactly so they could make 5P's story sound more legitimate? Courtney May also discusses her mother's magazine feature in more detail. Do you know how difficult it was to convince anyone to tell her a story? Yeah, basically 5P's copied Anonymom via Ruby Spratt, because Ruby had all the details. She had clearly sent her a letter before 5P's even appeared in the magazine. Do you know how difficult it was to convince anyone to tell her a story? My mom didn't want to show her face because everyone in the media we approached assumed she was lying, because her story was just like 5P's, but my mom's story was first. Mom was advised by Ryan and Cork to tell News Time that seeing 5P's on the cover is what inspired her to go public. That's the only way News Time would agree to it and help her get on TV, but it's not true. Our story was first. Courtney's defense continues, but much of it seems repetitive and useless. Towards the end of her page, she discusses the DNA test and defends her mother's character. 5P's probably doesn't even know Joanna Fellows. It's probably not even his mom. That's entirely possible. That's entirely possible, especially if like Ruby Spratt was able to get a hold of the information of like who worked there around that time, and they just like picked somebody else, and maybe somebody who had died. Sorry. Okay, my mom's amazing. She's the nicest woman in the world. She has diabetes and works at a department store, but still managed to help pay for my apartment in the big city so that I could stay with my high school sweetheart. I got a degree in nursing, so I learned about DNA in college, but I'm beginning to think it's all a lie. Mom is 100% confident that there's nobody else who could be the father. Either they did the test wrong or DNA is complete BS. She is not a liar. Okay, 5Ps. Courtney May and Danny together forever. Oh, look, she even has red hair. She even has red hair just like Yee. Courtney May, and what is her new name? Courtney May Newton. So her and Danny. Danny or Daniel. Where'd it go? There it is. Courtney May and Danny together forever. So spouse name. Daniel Newton. She's Courtney May Watts. That's them. Occupation. She's a nurse. Yeah, they're adorable, right? Okay. Another picture. Oh, here we go. Aww, that's her mom. It's the original unobscured cover photo from the Newstime feature on Dame Jo Roottrees and her anonymous mother. We found it on Courtney May Watts' website. Okay. Let's change it to that one. Yeah. And then Beatrice. And she works retail, theoretically? Okay. So now, yeah, Courtney May Watts now appears on his thing. Let's see. Oh, how cute. And then I don't know what this is. This is the last. Actually, hang on. Do we have any more evidence for her? Okay, we have one more. Let's see. I don't know if searching her married name. No, okay, same thing. Oh, the scanned letter? Did we have a scanned letter? I don't think those two new things were the only things in our evidence. Ryan and Cork? Who are Ryan and Cork? Aha! Ryan and Cork is an unremarkable law firm based in North Carolina, named after its senior partners Winston Ryan and Gregory Cork. The firm mostly handles local cases, recently represented Anonymom. Their website has a section about the case, including a scan of the DNA test results that prove Jane Doe Roottrees was not a Roottrees. Okay, Bonnie Kellogg? Was that her name? Oh yeah, Bonnie Hudson, Bonnie Kellogg. Okay. Alright, sure. Child Jane Doe, Bonnie Kellogg. D. Nateco? D. Nateco? Combined relatedness, 0.005. So 0.5% match, not related. Adrian Rowland, PhD. DNA Teco is probably actually it. Not DNAteco. DNAteco. It's probably DNA Teco. DNA Teco. Oh, Dynatico. Dynatico? Whatever. DNA testing company. DNA testing, relatively new phenomenon, allows scientific laboratories to prove a possible family relationship between two people. It's fairly cutting edge. The method by which they test samples has only become standard in the last decade as of the early 90s. According to their site, Dynatico was responsible for the DNA test that proved that Felix Fellows was a Roottrees, and even use it as an example of how a DNA test looks. They use it to provide some information about their process. Whenever they take a sample in person, they put the name of the person on the test according to their legal ID, which is why it says David instead of Felix. Well, if that's true, then why does the other one say Jane Doe? Okay. Because Guy Hudson's dead, there's no known DNA source for Guy. They tested Felix's hair versus a hair sample sent from the Roottrees. It's listed as Jane Doe. So Jane Doe is not Jane Doe Roottree. Jane Doe is... What? So it says Jane Doe because it wasn't collected in person with the Roottrie Company and let them know it was from Bonnie Kellogg, Guy Hudson's sister. This is why it says it's a paternal aunt test. Left and right sets of numbers are essentially signatures that perfectly match the DNA of the two people in question and nobody else. Oh my goodness gracious. They probably used that same exact test and altered it. I'll bet those numbers are identical. I bet those numbers are identical. Left and right sets of numbers are essentially signatures that perfectly match the DNA of the two people in question and nobody else. The way the test works is that if certain parts of the signature are shared, then it's very likely two people are related. As far as you can tell, Dynatico is a legitimate company. They don't seem to have any reason to create fake results or hide the truth. They didn't create the same results. It's going to be that this test report looks exactly the same as Felix Fellows. Watch this. Ready? What do we say? It's not the child. It's not the child that's Jane Doe, or the alleged paternal aunt. Hang on here. Hang on. Was that scan? Was that scan? See, it's like a weird scan too. It's not even like a good copy. All right. 13, 13, 15, 14, 12, 13. Okay. Oh, no, they're different. Okay. But the child, David Fellows, the alleged paternal aunt, is Jane Doe. That's what it should look like. But somehow, things got mixed around. This says example on it. Adrian Rowland. Okay. But something here, it's not the child who should be Jane Doe. It should say alleged paternal aunt Jane Doe, child Courtney Watts or Courtney May Watts. So something about this isn't right. Something isn't correct here. So I wonder if they like switched names on stuff. You know what I mean? Virtually no okay. DNA from a Jane Doe was tested against the DNA of Bonnie Kellogg née Hudson. Then why doesn't the test look like this test? Something's wrong. Yeah. I don't know. But I don't think I think she is a blood relative, and I don't think he is. And I'm going with it. Can we search the doctor's name? Adrian Rowland? 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 What's his name? Adrian Rowland. Yeah. Nope. Anything's gonna be in there necessarily. Is he a starlet? Yeah. Or is it the same signature? Good point. Adrian Rowland. Oh. Look like the same signature. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Alright. I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's end it. I'm ready. Confirm. Boom, 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 boom. Final option entries? Yes. 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 What? Oh, no, it confirmed them. Oh, optional entries like the additional pictures and stuff.
Beatrice and Courtney May. Clark, can you swing another test against Bonnie's DNA?
This time I'll be sure to have them verify both samples in person.
Okay. 1 week later. Oh, just Sam.
Using the family tree you filled out, as well as DNA tests, we were able to uncover
Okay.
the truth behind all the inconsistencies.
Well, the thing is, why did you need me to say yes or no? I think they're a root tree or absolutely not a root tree. Why didn't you just do that?
Clark's handling the business, but I've come to thank you
Okay.
and fill you in on everything we've learned. Buckle up, because it's been one heck of a week.
I'm buckled. Let's go.
Actually, that's an understatement. It's not every week you discover your family company is being sabotaged by someone they trusted.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the kind of time we've been having. Like I said, buckle up. Maybe grab some popcorn. We'll start with
Everybody
Guy
get their
Hudson.
popcorn. You got it ready? Let's go.
Guy had a frankly ridiculous number of potential
This is true.
children. What shocked
Ridiculous
me
is the
how
correct
many
word. Yes.
graduated from potential to confirmed.
Oh no, are these all the confirmed ones? They were both kids? I don't know. Are they
We
gonna
can
go through
even
them?
prove he was aware of them. The smoking gun was how he used company money to pay off a lot of women.
That is true. A lot of these were like flavor development. Oh my gosh, my eyeball. Flavor development. Because this is 1, 2, the 2 kids, her, him, and then those 2. Okay, these are all of the people who were just related to Guy Hudson. It's not saying they're
He
all
hid
his
it with a
kids.
method inspired by his idol, Elias.
Mhm.
5-piece flavors.
Yes.
The flavors he was paying to research were a ruse.
Yeah, we figured that.
He developed flavors based on the initials of the women he was paying. Which was really stupid, considering one of their names started with X.
Excuse me? I didn't even notice that. Caviar is Christine, Beatrice is butterscotch, Zigua, which would they say that was like the Chinese word for watermelon, was Zinyu, Sonia was strawberry, Susan was sugar plum. Holy crap.
Let's start with Christine. Guy was paying her under the name Caviar. But there were
I
some
thought it was
other
related to
clues.
like which countries
James
and
was
which
born
flavors.
9 months after Zach's party.
Here we go. Okay. I know, I didn't even put that together. What a fool this man is. Okay, Christine. So Christine was the one, yes, who has the 2 sons running the restaurant now. Guy was paying her under the name Caviar. Some other clues. James was born 9 months after that party.
Christine was there with Guy, and when she got pregnant, she
Aw,
panicked.
Yeah.
Steve stepped up.
Good man.
He even
good man,
turned it into
Steve
one of his
Garland, dude.
recipe stories.
Okay, and yeah, we had read that about the story. She'd already prepared buns.
Not all of Guy's affairs led to offspring. He may have slept with Robin Martin.
Oh,
but
she's
she
the one
didn't have
from
children,
Australia.
so we'll never know.
But yeah.
Also, not every child of Guy's affair partners were
Right.
his.
Yes.
Robert Garland was born after his parents had
Yeah.
already moved to Boston.
Yeah, and after she wasn't working anymore, or not for Guy. So, hey, we got those right.
Skipping Beatrice for now. Up next is Lang Xin-yu. When
Shin
Guy
Yu.
showed up in China, she was
That's
into
Zinyu, I was
America
pronouncing it
and
wrong.
Americans. Dare I say redheads, even?
Oh. Butch Cassidy, Robert Redford. Did they have red hair? I truly don't
When
know.
she got pregnant, her father paid key genes to
Yeah.
fake IVF.
Yes.
They claimed her sister was unable to conceive.
Right. But her
But
sister
her
had
sister
the son.
and Jerry had their own son, Mark.
Right? Oh. Okay. See, I thought that the kid that she had that was supposedly the IVF, I thought that was their son. I didn't realize they're saying, no, that's the daughter. Okay. I got that wrong.
Sonia Alves was soon after.
Right.
Nia was married at a very young age to a much older husband.
Yes.
She resented him. I don't blame her. They allegedly spent no time together in private. Guy was in Brazil during Christmas 1979. It's the only Christmas not in the
Freaking
records.
Susan in the background looking all pissed.
Flavio was born 9 months later, and like the others, Guy started paying Sonia.
Okay.
Last was Susan Ford, hired to translate for Guy's overseas trips. It's easy to read into Guy's donation to her
Right.
school, but
There's
there's
no
no
proof,
definitive
but
proof
it's a lot
there.
of money.
She and Guy were witnessed together near the end of his life. Susan's husband was convinced he couldn't be the father of her daughters. Guy, though, paid double. The price of twins.
Oh, I didn't even notice that Sugar Plum was twice the monthly cost. Oh, the details. So, yes, so somebody out of all of these pairs has been...
So,
Okay.
what about 5
Yes,
peas?
tell me.
Felix Fellow's mother, Joanna, doesn't have a 5 pieces flavor.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, his story doesn't really add up.
Agreed.
His mother already left the company by the time Guy became president, and his lyrics indicate he was born sometime around 1975.
Right.
Alone, that wouldn't necessarily prove it. But there are
Yeah.
some suspicious connections between Felix and the company's current lawyer, Ruby Spratt. They both grew up in Portland in foster care, and according to the local paper, they definitely knew one another.
Right.
Ruby was the one who approached the Roottrees to
Right.
begin
It
with.
was all set
It was
up.
all
She's
a
a
setup.
con woman.
Ruby and Felix saw my book's challenge to the Clancet Trust as an opportunity. His mother really had worked for Roottree, and Ruby was a respected
Okay.
lawyer.
So his mother really did work for Roottrees.
She exploited my family's greed, worked her way into control of the trust, and ensured Felix got a piece. But they made some mistakes along the way. If you look at the 2 DNA
Yes.
tests that Ruby handled, they were both supposedly tested against Bonnie Hudson.
Right, but yeah, there's like a difference in how they're... Yes.
But the 2 signatures that should both represent Bonnie don't match.
Oh.
After Clark and I confronted her, Ruby lawyered up.
Got it. So this
Ironic,
is her,
I
like,
know.
number in the system? Yeah, his mother really was Joanna Fellows. That part is true. But... And she did work for Guy. But she did not, no. Okay, so this number that should have been associated with Bonnie should have been associated here, but wasn't the same. Okay. We suspect Ruby had Dynetico test Felix against his own mother's DNA. He had a hairbrush of hers. They sent the female sample in remotely. Oh, the only thing he had to remember her by was a hairbrush, right? Okay. So they tested him against his mom.
On the second test, Bonnie's sample was tested locally, but Courtney
What?
Mays was not.
It's like this Bonnie's sample was tested locally. Courtney Mays was
Ruby's been throwing away samples. We think she sent her own hair instead of Courtney Mays,
Oh.
but it could have
Got
been
it.
anyone's. Ruby and Felix were in cahoots. As for why, they were both advocates of wealth
Yeah,
redistribution.
We kind of got that.
A noble effort. But once they controlled the family fortune, they became just as greedy as the worst members of my family.
Yeah,
The
surprise,
money
surprise.
corrupted them. They were so eager to personally wield the wealth for their own cause that they sabotaged any other claims.
Yeah, get out of here, Felix. I'm sorry, David.
That finally brings us to Anonymom, aka Beatrice Watts. Her
Let's go.
tales of guys' parties and payoffs were true.
Okay.
She even approached Ruby before 5Ps was on news time. Ruby used Beatrice's truths to make Felix's lies feel real, then ruined the DNA test so that Beatrice looked phony in the public court of opinion. I feel worst for her in all of this.
Okay, good.
While Ruby and
Yeah, if they hadn't
Felix stole the
sabotaged the other
show,
claims, it wouldn't
there
be
were
as
some
much of a
other
mess.
potential new family members as well. Miracle Roottrees was less of an open and shut case.
Let's find
That
out.
said, it's very likely he had a son with Mary Beth Clementine.
Yes,
not
go on.
Stuart. Mary Beth adopted
Yes,
him
yes.
before she ever set foot
Crazy
in Butler
crocodile man.
County.
Continue.
That leaves Mark. The timeline fits.
It does.
He showed up about 9 months after Mary Beth visited Miracle, and the basket baby story is a bit too convenient. If that's not enough on its own, he was also bailed out by the sister of Edith Roottrees, Miracle Jr.'s wife, after she changed her name to win that silly contest.
It was her. Remember yeah, because she was Edith Jacobson. Because I was like, why does that sound so familiar? I didn't even put that together.
Our best guess is that Mark was told by his mother whose son he was, and used that fact to put some pressure on Miracle Jr. We have no real proof of that, but nothing else really makes sense for why they'd be connected in that way.
Take that, Miracle.
Elias's affair was the most ambiguous.
That's fair. It was like forever ago.
Gwyneth was able to coerce Elias to do things he wouldn't have otherwise done, like pressure to include me in the family. My son even mentioned them arguing about someone named Beth. Combined with Gwyneth's lisp, it's possible the name was actually Bess. Unfortunately, all we know about Bess Williams is that she wrote his book and died not long after, leaving her only son an orphan. The timeline fits with Wildcat, but there's no record if she had any other relationship. Honestly, I wouldn't say we had enough evidence either way. I wouldn't be surprised if Elias cheated. Of course, I'm a bit biased. Regardless, we haven't gotten in touch with any of the Williams clan yet.
I was gonna say, who are you gonna test? You're gonna test...
Stay beautiful.
Like, stay beautiful. Like, you're gonna test the granddaughter, the great-granddaughter, against their, like, so aunts once, twice, something removed or whatever, like...
That means we haven't been able to do a DNA test.
Yeah.
As Clark mentioned, from here on out, all of our DNA tests will be in person for both parties.
Okay. So we got that one right. So we only got one wrong.
Lastly, we have a bit of a curveball.
right.
Ron Roottree isn't related to us by blood.
Yes.
Gwyn was definitely pregnant.
Right.
So it's likely Robbie is.
Right. But Ron
When Ron and
has-
Robbie went to visit their mother at the end of her life, something
something
changed.
changed. He has Huntington's. Additionally, there have been a few rumors circling around Ron. Our productions canceled the Guys Like Us remake due to the director's illness.
At the same time, Ron's wife Penelope began doing benefits
I
for
forgot that was
Huntington's
Ron's wife.
disease, stating that she had become familiar with it.
I didn't actually go, look it up. I'd forgotten that was his wife.
Huntington's is the same disease that Gwyn's former co-star Leslie Florence had. It's passed from parent to child. It can't skip a generation. Because Gwyn and Wild Bill didn't have Huntington's, and Ron seems to, it's impossible Gwyn was his mother.
Poor Ron.
I
That's hard.
recently confirmed all this with Ron.
Especially, if he didn't know. That's, a hard way to find out. You find out you're adopted, and you find out you have a deadly disease all at the same time.
At the end of her life, Gwyn told Ron the story. Leslie and Bill had an affair the same year Leslie learned she had Huntington's. Leslie got pregnant. Leslie wasn't likely to survive to see her child grow up. And even if she did, she didn't want to be a burden.
That's
She
sad.
begged Gwyn and Wild Bill to adopt her child. Gwyn did. Mere weeks after she found out she was having her own son, she also took in Ron. Wild Bill was a problem. Unreliable and a serial adulterer.
Okay.
Gwyn divorced him
Wow.
and never saw him
What a
again.
strong woman. And it sucks that Wild Bill was that way. So he slept with one woman. They had a kid. So he slept with Leslie. They had a kid. He found out that she had Huntington's and maybe was gonna die or slowly decline. So Gwyn, bless her heart, agrees to raise this kid. Then, and in addition to finding out that she was pregnant herself, and Wild Bill couldn't get his shit together enough, and so Gwyn divorced him and raised 2 boys on her own. What a badass.
Gwyn had already told Starlet she was pregnant, so it never really made waves when people saw her with a child in Paris. There was gossip during her divorce when she was discovered to be pregnant again.
Yeah.
In actuality, it was the final months of her only pregnancy. To lay low, she stayed in Paris long enough that even her own family never had reason to question the
She told us
timeline.
She might come home next year so we can meet her kids. Yeah, at least he listened. That is true. She said, never speak to me or my children again. He didn't even go to her funeral because he listened that much. That is true. He did not bother her ever again, and he did not make her life difficult. But, like, what an ass. What an asshole.
It's one heck of a story, and frankly, nobody could be expected to piece the timeline together.
Excuse me, I did a great job.
Not with what few mentions of Gwyn's past have survived. But the Huntingtons itself,
great job piecing that together.
that's proof.
You're welcome. Yep. Okay, so we only got one wrong.
Ron suing Robbie to
Go
remove him
us,
from the
go
Clancet
us.
Trust was a huge moment in my story, and a major catalyst for this entire investigation.
So that's funny, right? That's funny that Ron sued his younger brother, Robbie, because Ron's not even a Roottrie.
Finding out that it's been
Yeah.
pretty much backwards this whole time has been
Yep.
a bit surreal. So that's where we're at.
Okay.
Looking over the information you sent us was very helpful.
You're very welcome. It was very fun.
We pretty much came to most of the same conclusions. But it took us an entire team of lawyers.
Yeah, how much are you paying me for this? / you're welcome.
All this information, this entire story. It's a lot, in more ways than one. Some of it has the potential to destroy marriages and ruin relationships.
So we're gonna have to kill you. And she takes out a gun and she's like, chick. You can't tell anyone ever again.
We're handling it all very, very carefully. But we couldn't have gotten here without you.
Thank you. Oh, shucks.
And with that, I guess our tale has finally, truly come to an end. What a strange one it was.
Woohoo!
No words can express how grateful I am to you for
Aw.
untangling this mess. Honestly, I've had enough of my family's
honestly,
eccentricities and scandals for
yes.
one lifetime.
Yeah.
I imagine you have as well.
Absolutely, 100%. This was fun. This is many hours of my
And
life.
if not, well, there's always Elias's and Gwyneth's brothers and sisters.
Nope. No.
Attention,
Ugh.
Roottrees. This is 5-piece coming at you from the real world. You know, the place you ain't ever lived in.
Is this the 5-piece song?
Money is the root of all your problems.
I love that this is like the background to the credits. Oh, it's the root of all your problems. Yo, what a game. That was so fun. Like, so fun. I'm gonna, like, go ahead and get the audio for yeah. Okay. That was really good. That was really good. Ivy Dupler, Mike Pollock, the playtesters, game engines. Okay, yeah. I mean, honestly, this was amazing. Click the cassette icon. Oh, to see detailed credits for each song. Yeah, it's for sure time for bed. It's later than normal by like 2 hours, so please go to sleep. I'm done for the night. Steam version of the Roottrees Are Dead contains no generative AI artwork. Hey, okay. The original free version of the game. Okay, cool. That's awesome. All characters are fictitious. But yeah, that was a good one. I really liked it. It had that same very much vibe as Obra Dinn, where you're like trying to connect all the pieces, trying to connect all of the characters, trying to piece them together with their pictures, or in Return of the Obra Dinn, it was like their drawings, and you have to get like, so yeah, we do love to see no AI in our games. But yeah, like just piecing the things together, being able to use that whole game mechanic of like, if you get 3 of them correct, it'll like lock them in. But this one was interesting because it got progressively like more difficult, where it was like, okay, yeah, if you get 3, you can lock them in. If you get 4, you can lock them in. If you get 5, you can lock them in. And then on top of it all at the end, trying to figure out who really was and was not a root tree. I am blown away, though, by the fact that he used their names of all the moms. I hope it was worth it. Oh, it was. It was, game developer. Y'all did an amazing job. But yeah, so that's it for the root trees. We solved it. We solved the root trees are dead and root tree mania, and I feel like we did a pretty good job putting it all together. But yeah, some of that searching was a little bit hard, just trying to figure out how to connect all the pieces of the puzzle. At the same time, I don't think it was like an impossible difficulty level. It would be kind of nice to go in and see a finished version, or like at the end of the credits, it'd be cool if it's like, here's what you missed. Although I think you can continue the game and go back in and try and like find all those extra pieces and find all those like missing sources or whatever. I have no interest in doing that. While I am a completionist about some things, I'm not about this. We figured out most of it, and like, yeah. Yeah, I cannot believe he used the flavor names to represent the affair partners. Like, that blew my mind when she said that, because we put it together for the original, like, storyline. The 5 pieces were the names of the children. I feel like we put that together fairly easily. But this one, even with the clue of, like, the one flavor starting with an X, like, it did not occur to me that he would, like, use that theming again. But yeah, it was a really great game. I had a ton of fun. Thoroughly enjoyed playing this. Definitely a great break from Myst. In the meantime, I'm not going to go back to Myst immediately. We are going to be playing Blueprints. We won't be playing it on Tuesday. Tuesday is still going to be Tuesday Drew's Day. We're going to be playing Deadly Device still. Next Thursday night, I may play Blueprints. I may play Blueprints as some like bonus streams, because I am just digging that game, and I want to get back into it, and I don't want to have to wait until next Sunday to do so. It's definitely a lot more enjoyable to me than Siberia 3. I will pick Siberia 3 back up at some point, but like, I'm going to play something I enjoy a little bit more first. I'm going to put myself first. As much as I do enjoy completing games, and like I said, I will finish Siberia, not right now. Not right now. Not when there's other way more fun games to play, like this one and like Blueprints and a lot of other stuff. So that's where I'm gonna call it for the night. Yeah, I appreciate you all hanging out with me. It's been a lot of fun. Hope you guys had a good night. Sorry for the late stream, but you know, hey, it's a holiday. Let me see if there is anybody to raid, even though I doubt it because it's really late on a Sunday. Yeah, not really anybody I want to raid. Alright. Watch out for weird people, aka most of the people in this game. I like Blueprints, it's so fun. I agree. I'm having a blast with it. It's funny because like my husband even said, he's like, because normally he watches all of my streams, but even he said, you were like, what? Like, you didn't want to watch me play Blueprints because you think you want to play it yourself? Yeah. So, yeah, even he's enjoying the game that much that he's like, I don't want any spoilers. If my husband hasn't been watching my stream to avoid the spoilers. But yeah, I cannot wait to get back into that game. So I'm going to go ahead and call it there for the night. Hope you guys all had a great time. I enjoyed hanging out with y'all so much, and I will hopefully see you on the next stream, which is probably going to be on Tuesday night for Tuesday Drew's Day. And I will see y'all next time. Bye, everybody!